And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mullendore versus Mayfield. Step forward, please.
21-year-old baker Janelle Mullendore is suing her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, 21-year-old homemaker Melinda Mayfield, for smashing out her car windows. Melinda is countersuing, claiming Janelle trashed her apartment.
Miss Mullendore, you and the defendant have a boyfriend in common, and one of you has a child with him. Which one has the child?
I have a child with Christopher.
Where's Christopher?
He is at work.
What kind of work does Christopher do?
He's a furniture salesman, and he moves furniture.
Invisible as he should be. In any event, Miss Mullendore, is your claim that the defendant vandalized your car?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, she was arrested for vandalizing your car.
Yes.
And you went to some sort of a mediation, a criminal mediation.
Yes.
And at the mediation, you promised to do something. What did you promise to do, Miss Mayfield?
I agreed that I would pay Janelle back for the balance owed on her windows that she had to pay. And in the same note, she agreed that she would stay out of my life, out of Christopher's life, and out of our son's life. Leave us alone. And
okay, now I assume that that was reduced to a writing.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Can I see it, please? Because suffice it to say that the payment for the window was never made, and you have a defense to that. So let me see what you agreed to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Out! Out!
I was a witness to it.
Did you hear what I said to you? Out!
Did you want me to leave?
Yes. What does out mean?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janelle Mullendore says her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, Melinda Mayfield, smashed out her car windows and refuses to pay. Melinda says Janelle won't stay out of her life.
Did you do community service?
No.
They call you Mindy?
Yeah, that's my nickname.
Yeah. Why didn't you do community service?
I had spoken to the woman a few times, and she said they had a list that they were going to mail out to me of places to call on community service, and they never did. And
so you just didn't do that, and you didn't pay her the $520 that you agreed to pay her.
Nope. I have pictures.
Just a second. You don't need any pictures. She said she went through a mediation. Instead of getting arrested, having a record, she agreed to pay for the windows and apologized for breaking them. That's what it says here. So she didn't do community service, and she didn't pay the $520. You didn't have to show me anything. When did you break the windows? And don't tell me I didn't break the windows.
Well, I did not break the windows.
Okay, you did break the windows. When did you break the windows?
She broke them on the November 20th of '01.
Tell me the circumstances of her breaking the windows.
She came over to Christopher's apartment, which I was there. We were not allowing her into the apartment because she was very angry. And she banged on the door and she said if I didn't come out, she was going to break all my windows out in my car. And I was like, Christopher, you need to go out there and talk to her. This is your business. Well, she went and got the tire iron out of her car, and she broke out my front windshield, my side windshield, and my back windshield.
And you saw her do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was not there. I was at my brother's house with
I don't
him.
believe him. I don't believe you. Now, let's go for it. It doesn't make any difference. You agreed to pay for the windows.
So she would stay away from me and my son.
You didn't pay for the windows. Now, you give me the defense.
The reason I did not pay, because in this agreement, she strictly said she was not going to come around me, my child, or my boyfriend. She said she was going to stay out of her life. She asked for some property that was in the apartment, which I did not know whether or not any of it was hers. I asked Christopher. He said yes, that some of it was, not all of it. We agreed to make a time with her to come give her the things. On Saturday...
So now Christopher's gone back to you?
Yes.
So from being with her, he decided to go back to you?
We've been together since the baby was born.
Was the baby born in November?
January 1st, 2000.
Oh, okay. So while you were pregnant, he was with her.
Right.
And then after the baby was born, he came back to you.
Right.
The prize, who's selling furniture someplace. Okay. So now he's back living with you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So March 23rd, 3 days after our mediation, me and my brother went to my apartment to pick up laundry. Shanda met us over there. Whenever I got there, my door was unlocked. I went inside. My entire apartment was ransacked and trashed. Pictures of me and Christopher holding our son for the first time were demolished, smashed, ripped, torn. And when I spoke to the lady about the mediation, she said that...
what does that have to do with you paying the $520?
The things missing were the things she asked for in the agreement. She obviously didn't stay away. She broke in. She refuses to get out of his life. She lives with his brother She calls, harasses, she comes by, drives by our house repeatedly.
You choose to have a baby with a loser. That's your problem. You get involved with and that makes you a loser. Hopefully, you'll grow up so that your child won't be a loser.
My child's
But
not a
right
loser.
now, oh yeah, raised by two losers. Unless you wisen up, somebody who lives with one woman while he's impregnated another woman.
She didn't live with him.
Just a minute. Hangs around with her while he's got a pregnant lady who's due to deliver in about 3 months, and then says, well, now I'm going to go live with her, and doesn't have the moral fortitude to come to court with either one of them because he had to work selling his furniture, or was he running IBM? I'm not sure which one you told me, right? That person is a loser. Now, you made an agreement which would keep you from having a record, and that was that you were going to pay for her windows. That's what you do. And if you believe that she was responsible for burglarizing your apartment and for vandalizing your apartment, you call and you make a police report, and if they find her prints there, then they will arrest her. But you don't take it upon yourself to say, listen, I think she's the one who broke into my apartment.
I know she is. She took everything that she wanted.
Pay attention.
She has no proof she busted out the windows either.
Get out. Get out. This is not a dance party.
I'm sorry.
Get out. Out.
I was a witness to it.
Did you hear what I said to you? Out.
Did you want me to leave?
Yes. What does out mean?
I'm sorry about that.
Just out. Out is out. Bottom line, you make an agreement with the criminal justice system. You abide by that decision. And if you feel as if she's breached the decision, you don't resort to self-help and say, I don't have to keep my end of the bargain.
This is what the mediators told me. They said...
Listen to me.
Okay, I'm listening.
Tell me what the mediators told you. These are the same mediators who didn't send you a list of places to go to do your community service. Everybody's screwing up except you. Yep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $520. That's
Hello, I have
out.
a claim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just as long as Janelle stays out of our life, out of Christopher's life, she quits stalking us and driving by as much as she can.
Got some real issues. I do stay out of his life. I mean, I live with his brother, and if he calls his brother, that's him.
Maybe if she has a misfortunate accident or something, sometime soon it'll all work out.
I have no problem with Mindy. It was all Christopher. He had us both. I didn't know about her.
She won't stay away. She won't go away. He doesn't even want anything to do with his family now because of her.
I don't want to have to deal with it no more.
Jose Ortiz is suing the mother of his children, 25-year-old restaurant shift supervisor Mary Palacios, for the cost of a trip to Disneyland, car insurance bills, and the return of photographs. Mary is countersuing for medical bills and the return of property.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 287 on the calendar in the matter of Ortiz versus Palacios. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Ortiz, you and the defendant have 3 children together. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You say she owes you some money. Palacios says she doesn't owe you anything. As a matter of fact, she believes that you should give her some money for medical bills for the birth of one of your children, as well as some personal property. Is that right?
Yes.
How old are these children?
The other one is 4 years. That's a boy. The other one is 3 years. And my baby boy is about 9 months.
And where do these children live?
Currently, they live with the mother.
Is that right?
Yes,
And who do you live with?
with my parents.
How long have you been together with Mr. Ortiz?
We were together for almost 5 years.
During that time that you lived together?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
When did you go back to live with your mother?
On May 28th, 2002.
And since you've been living with your mother, how much child support has Mr. Ortiz paid you?
Nothing.
Why?
Because she have failed to the child support agency to submit all the financial statement. Nothing have been settled to the child support
I don't care whether it's
agency.
been settled. What do you think? The kids don't eat between May and settlement date? They don't have doctors? They don't have clothes? What do you mean, no?
I mean, I do think that the children, they eat, and they need stuff.
Why didn't you give her any money?
Because I don't have a job, Your Honor.
You have 3 children and no job?
That's true.
Really? Something wrong with you?
Yes.
What?
I got hurt at work on June 19 and got surgery on the July 27, and since then I've been TTD.
What's TTD?
Total temporarily disabled.
What's the nature of your disability?
Problems with my back.
And you just had these problems with your back since a month after she left?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, how long have you had problems with your back?
Over a year.
Over a year?
Mm-hmm.
Who supports you?
Nobody.
Who feeds you?
Nobody.
You mean you haven't eaten in a year? Mr. Ortiz, who supports you?
The only source of income I was receiving was a work compensation.
How much?
This month, I started receiving $210 for permanent disability.
Who do you live with?
Nobody.
Do you have your own apartment?
Yes, I do.
You pay rent?
No, I don't pay rent.
Who pays your rent?
Nobody, because I own the place,
You own what place?
the apartment,
When did you buy the apartment?
on the year 1999.
While you were still together.
Yes,
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $70,000.
You have a mortgage?
Yes, I do.
Who pays the mortgage?
I'm responsible to pay it.
Mr. Ortiz, you understand where I'm going, sir? You're suing her because you wanted to pay for the cost of a trip. Reimbursement for some of a Disneyland trip that you took with her. Who went on the trip? The two of you. Who else?
Or family.
The whole family.
Yes,
When did you go on the trip?
on September last year.
Was that shortly before or after you became disabled?
I was already disabled by then.
Then you shouldn't have gone on a trip to Disneyland. If you had no money, you don't go on a trip to Disneyland and expect her to pay half. She's got 3 children. You haven't paid her a dime since May. What, are you crazy? You think I'm going to give you any money? Shh, quiet! You think I'm going to give you any money? Man goes on disability. You're not too disabled to go to Disneyland. You spend a fortune in Disneyland when you're not working because you're disabled, because you have a back problem. And you expect me to order her to pay you for half of the trip to Disneyland? Hello? Then you want to be reimbursed for car insurance. You want to tell me about the car insurance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Last year, I referred her where she's currently employed. I put the word in for her, that way she can get hired. And then she didn't have a way to transportation. And then she said that she wanted to use my vehicle. And she promised me that she was going to pay for the maintenance and the car insurance for this vehicle.
I'm not even asking her that question. You mean because you were unemployed, because you're disabled, because you have a bad back that only lets you go to Disneyland? She went and got a job. She needed a car to go to the job. You're living as a family with your 3 children. She drove your car, so you wanted to pay your insurance. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? Hello?
What I'm telling you is that she promised that she was...
I don't care. I don't believe it. I'm not even going to ask her. I don't care. You made 3 children. You made a promise, morally, to support them. You haven't done it. For a long time, you haven't done it. What?
We split up on May. They spent 16 days with me, those children, on the month of June. The child support is to be retroactive as of June. Since then, I've been working with the child support agency, and I'm just waiting to pay all my...
Listen to me, sir. Because you're waiting for the child support agency to tell you how much to pay doesn't mean that you don't give her money for the children. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. You're living in your condo, paying the mortgage. She's living with her parents, who did not bargain to have 3, 4 little kids home with them because the 2 of you split up. She can't afford to live in her own place. Are you working?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now I'm a shift supervisor.
How many hours a day do you work?
Normally, a day I work 7.5.
And who takes care of your children?
My mother and my sister.
What about him? He doesn't do anything. Why did he babysit for the children during the day?
Because he was very abusive. That's why we got to
he's very
court.
abusive that I wouldn't let him take care of a goldfish. In any event, Mr. Ortiz, you get no money from her. Nothing. You have to have a good moral character. First of all, you live together with her as a family, despite the fact that you chose not to get married. Why, I will never know. If you made 3 children, is there any reason why you didn't get married?
Yes, Your Honor. There's a big
What is
reason.
that?
It's a long story from the very beginning. When she got pregnant, she was not living with me. You know, we were having an affair together.
Why don't you tell me why you didn't get married after your 2nd child was born?
Because that was the reason. She was not living with me when she got pregnant with the 2nd child.
What about with the 3rd one?
With the 3rd one, because she wanted an abortion, she never wanted to do nothing with me.
So you mean you asked her to marry you and she said no?
I never asked her to marry me.
You wanted her to ask you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My dear Mr. Ortiz, Bird didn't make your 5 children. You made your 5 children. If you can't afford to support 5 children, you don't make 5 children. Period.
And later today,
Miss Brooks says there was a terrible storm, and when she came down to check on
The dog.
she also checked on the
Equipment.
and she doesn't know anything about anything.
Correct.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Ortiz says his ex-girlfriend, Mary Palacios, owes for the cost of a trip to Disneyland. Mary says Jose doesn't pay child support for their 3 kids.
What do you want? Medical bills?
Yeah, at least half of the medical bills and reimbursement for everything he kept. Because when I left him with only what I had and a few change of clothes for my children.
Tell me why.
Because I was already afraid of him, and I had it already. I got fed up. And when I asked him that I wanted the rest of my clothing, he told me that it was his property, that I had no right going back to his property. So I never went back. Only one time I went back with 2 sheriffs who escorted me in order to keep the peace. The only thing I ended up getting out of there as well was a few more changes of clothes, but I didn't get all of them. He kept the majority of them. But I left
Of
him
your
because,
clothes?
Yeah, of my clothing. And I've seen
Where's
him
her
wear
clothing?
a few of my pants.
The only thing I have is this that she left on my card. That's it.
I'm sorry, that is a lie.
Just a second. Now tell me about the furniture. Did you keep all the furniture?
Yes, I do have all the furniture, Your Honor.
Who purchased it?
I did, Your Honor.
And what about her?
She didn't purchase nothing.
What was she doing?
Just home.
She was home taken care of?
The children, she didn't want to work. She put many excuses. Who's going to pay babysitting? I'll probably get the minimum wage. And then whatever I will be making, I will be spending on child care. That's what she told me.
And?
And she never wanted to work.
Okay. Listen to me very carefully, madam. You have no claim for furniture unless you can demonstrate to me that you paid for it. Mm-hmm. Because the two of you were not married for whatever reason. When you're not married, there is no court that's going to say that we're going to equitably distribute this property. And as far as the medical bills for the birth of one of the children, your family court action that settles the issue of support should also settle the issue of medical bills, because he is required by law, once paternity is established, to go back and pay, in addition to his child support, the birthing costs of the children. Do you understand that?
When we went to family law, I went to child support services, and I asked them if there's somehow that they can make him pay for the rest of this, because I've already paid for like half of it.
Let me see it. And they said what?
They told me what I needed was a court order stating that he is...
The father?
Actually saying that he does have to pay half of it.
Your Honor, she's claiming 2 bills. I have paid the one for Brea. The other one is from abortion that she had in the year 2000.
Is that true?
I've never had an abortion. And when we went to family law, he also signed his own stipulation saying that he would agree to pay half of it.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Only I didn't sign it because what he wanted me to agree on was joint custody, and that I didn't think was right because they needed to be somewhere where, a stable home, not just
Well,
jumping.
nobody's going to give him custody of the children if you say he's abusive, and you can establish that.
Your Honor, I have joint custody, physical and legally, with my child.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Show
Not
me.
anymore.
I don't have the court order with me, but I do have joint custody, physical and legal, with my child.
Well, when are the children with you, sir?
They were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That way she can have the weekend.
Is that right?
No, it's going to change now because he was found to be mentally unstable in family law, and also that it was founded that he was very controlling and abusive in our relationship. And now what he's going to get from now on is supervised visitation, Saturdays from 10 to 2, Sundays 10 to 2, and it has to be supervised.
Is that correct, sir?
I
just want to know what the current order is. Is it for supervised visitation or is it 4 days a week?
It's current until the order kick in.
When was the last time you saw your children, sir?
Last week.
When did you see them?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And they stayed at your house?
Correct.
Do you have a copy of this order
It's
for
not
supervised?
in yet because it just went through October 10th, and it's not in yet.
Was he present?
Yes, he was.
Were you present when the court issued a ruling?
No, the ruling that the judge made it on the 11th this month. And I was on court hearing on the 10th because I want custody of my child that she's been abusing so much.
All right. When are they supposed to give you an order with regard to the child support?
I have an appointment October 28th to determine who's going to have to pay and how much.
Okay, fine. So I'm not making
Your
any
Honor, I
order.
have a court hearing yesterday for one of my childs, and my child support with my daughter was dropped to 0 because I can afford the payments. Also, I've been using my credit card to pay for some of the stuff that my child needs.
Sir, I would suggest that what you do is you find another way of making a living. Did you walk into the courtroom today?
Yes, I
did. Did you walk into the courtroom today?
Yes, I did.
Have you been standing there for 20 minutes?
Yes, I do.
You haven't been using crutches or a cane. You've been standing there. You're going to turn around and walk out? And you're speaking. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Then what you have to do is to find a job, sir, that doesn't require the use of your back if your back hurts you. You have to find another way of earning a living.
I just got my license permits from the California. I'm
For
going
what?
to start to sell computers. I haven't even started my business. I have my permit, my state.
Oh, so you're going to start a business?
I'm going to start my own business, yes, Your Honor.
Good. You mean instead of getting a job so
Yes,
that she
Your
can
Honor,
attach your
because
salary? Are these the only 3 children that you have?
I have 5 children, Your Honor.
Where are your other 2 children, sir?
The other one is over there on the same town where I live. One of them is right here on L.A.
How old are they?
The oldest one is 10 years old. The other one is 8 years old.
You send their mother's child support?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was the last time you sent money for those 2 children?
On my last paycheck that I got.
Which was when?
I believe it was like on the 15th.
Of what?
Of this month.
You told me you didn't get a paycheck. You told me you haven't been working in a year.
Yes, Your Honor, but my sole income is the permanent disability that I'm collecting right now, and they basing my child support on that. And then she's expecting me to pay child support too on top of supporting my 2 children.
Listen, my dear Mr. Ortiz, Bird didn't make your 5 children. These 2 gentlemen didn't make your 5 children. You made your 5 children. If you can't afford to support 5 children, you don't make 5 children. Period. End of discussion. He supports his children. I support my children. We don't want to support your children. And if you can't support 5, you don't have 5. You have 1.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Ortiz says his ex-girlfriend, Mary Palacios, owes for the cost of a trip to Disneyland. Mary says Jose doesn't pay child support for their 3 kids.
Mr. Ortiz, you get 0 from this lady. And madam, start life afresh. You have 4 children. Hopefully you can get some child support from him because you are not blameless in this whole thing either. Yeah. You know, you had 1 child, then you had 3 more with him. Bum, bada bum, bada bum, right? You're not married. How old are you?
25.
25. Not smart. Not smart. You have certain responsibility.
Yes, I know.
So, and you brought your troubles home to your mother because she didn't anticipate having to start rearing children now, I'm sure, at her stage in life.
That's true.
What you have to do is you have to realize you made a mistake, put a period, and move on. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. Goodbye, folks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He can't control me anymore. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Then with you, because you just have money, you don't have money to throw you away.
I was always too afraid to have him arrested because he always told me if I did have him arrested, he'd bring me down with him.
She put me like a boogeyman. Boo!
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Michael versus White. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Anna Michael is suing her former roommate, 20-year-old receptionist Bridget White, for the return of a computer. Bridget is countersuing, claiming Anna broke their apartment lease.
Miss Michael, you and the defendant were best friends, roommates, and it is your claim that the defendant took from you a computer that you had paid for, or mostly paid for, and you want $1,000 that you had put into the computer that she took.
Correct.
That's your claim. Miss White says that, yes, she took the computer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the arrangement was it was going to be yours when you fully paid for it, and you still owed some $300 on the computer. When you paid the $300, the computer would be yours. Is that right?
Yes.
So she gets her money, she's got the computer, which I assume is in good condition.
Yes.
Good. Now, Miss White has a counterclaim. She says you stuck her with 11 months on a 12-month lease. She was able to negotiate herself out of the lease, but as a result of that, she lost her security deposit because you left.
Correct.
So she wants that money back from you since you left the apartment. And she also says that you took with you a camera that was half hers. She will explain to me. So let's take care of the computer first. Can I see the receipt for the computer? How much it cost? Total purchase, $1,314. You paid $1,000.
Correct.
So you owe her $314.38.
Correct.
Correct? So you're going to give her that, and she's going to give you back the computer.
I've tried.
Do you understand?
Yes.
5 days from today's date, we will make a transfer. You will get your $314.38. She will get her computer. Is that clear?
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, you're not going to get much more out of her. Correct. Correct. Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anna Michael says former roommate Bridget White owes for the return of her computer.
Now, let's talk about this lease. How much was your security deposit?
The total security deposit was $400. I paid $266.66, and she paid $133.37.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Now, tell me why you left.
I left because it was an unsafe environment for me.
Explain it.
Her boyfriend was living with us. He occupied the second room. He was involved with illegal activity. I did not want to live that kind of lifestyle anymore. I didn't want to put myself in that position or environment, so I left.
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Selling them, yes. I could smell the marijuana in the room. Using them, I have no proof.
Yes, you could smell the
marijuana.
I think you meant to switch that around.
Oh.
That
Well,
he-
like, there was
That you could smell it, so yes, he was using it, but you don't know if he was selling it because you don't have any information about that.
Well, I saw there was money on her bed at multiple times, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both you smelled it and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Michael, you said you didn't want to be involved in that lifestyle anymore. Had you been involved in that lifestyle previously?
No, ma'am.
So you misspoke when you said you didn't want to be involved.
Yes, I did
Misspeak.
Misspeak.
I say you misspoke, you say yes. Did misspeak. Correct. Love this case. So did you have an argument? She told you she moved out?
She never gave me a reason. I came home at lunch and she was gone.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She called me that Friday morning at work and said, "I'm leaving."
Okay. Now, the lease was in whose name?
Hers, mine, and 2 other girls.
What about your boyfriend?
He wasn't living there.
Was he staying over?
He actually stayed for 3 days. That was a couple weeks before that.
Why
3
did you
days.
leave?
I left because of her boyfriend.
Then why didn't you say to her, if your boyfriend comes to stay here and is going to be involved in drugs, I'm going to have to leave? Instead of just saying, I'm leaving, I'm out of here.
Well, it wasn't that easy.
Well, explain it to me.
We had a roommate, and she left on the 11th of July. And so in order to compensate for that month's rent, Bridget brought in her boyfriend, which I interpreted and was led to believe that he would pay for the rest of the money of that month. So he was living there. I did not know that he was going to be involved with legal behavior inside our room. I did not know that. So I told her I would no longer live with him, and I would not live with him through her. And because of that, I left.
All right, now talk to me about the camera.
For our birthdays, which are a week apart, her sister, who is a good friend of mine, bought us both a camera. And it was to both of us, and when she left, she took it with her.
So you think her sister bought you a present?
No, it was for both of us. She bought us more than just the camera for our birthdays. Her sister was a good
somebody
friend
had to
of
take
mine.
the camera.
Huh?
What's huh? Somebody had to take the camera.
Yes. She actually took it. She didn't discuss anything with me, so I just said, that's fine if you'd like it. You can pay me for half the value.
She's not going to pay you anything for the camera that her sister bought for her birthday. This is the way we're going to resolve this, ladies. Listen very carefully. You would ordinarily have to pay her, in order to get your computer back, $314. Do you understand?
Correct.
That means you pay her $314. You also owe her $266. Do you understand? She shouldn't be responsible for your skipping out. You should have made proper arrangements. When you move in to a place, you're supposed to make arrangements if you want to move out, not just to say, toodaloo, and the people who were there are stuck. She lost her security deposit.
So did I.
So?
What does that make? I don't.
So, you lost your security deposit, but you caused her to lose hers also.
But she signed off on a transfer lease.
So?
I couldn't live there anymore.
I don't know where you went. Where did you go?
I was homeless for a week.
Where did you sleep?
On the floor in my friend's room.
That's not being homeless. That's being young. Listen to me. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $588. That is $314 for the computer and $266 for the money that you were out as a result of this boarded lease. You will get your computer back. Clear?
Clear.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm happy with the outcome. I just think it's unfortunate that people can get away with what they do.
People change. I mean, that's time.
No more roommates.
Choose your friends wisely.
Daycare provider Sandy Brown is suing her son, carpet installer Henry Brown, for bail and household expenses.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 48 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Brown, the defendant is your son.
Right.
Is that right? Are those prescription glasses, sir?
Yes, ma'am, very much so.
Well, would you take them off, please? Because if you have to read anything, I'll let you put them back on. Very good.
They're not for reading, they're for seeing you, Your Honor.
Well, put them back on again for a second, sir. Take a good look. Now take them off.
Mrs. Brown, your lawsuit seeks return of money for several things. The first thing is bail money that you claim that you loaned to your son at some point. The second thing is for mortgage payments on a house that you are currently living in. And from what I gather from your complaint, there was some sort of an arrangement that your son would make the mortgage payments on this house, and ultimately the house would belong to him. You would live in the house, take care of your grandson, your son, correct? And then there was some sort of an altercation with your son, you put him out of the house, and you believe that he should continue to make the mortgage payments on the house as per your agreement.
No.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that.
I am only asking for a mortgage, well, it's not just mortgage, it's household expenses for the month of August, which he lived in my house. That was August of 2001 was the last month that he lived in my house, and he did not pay anything.
Okay, so it's just for 1 month?
It's just for 1 month, and it's $1,500 for the household expenses because that was our agreement.
How much was the mortgage payment?
$758.
Okay. How much was the bail?
The bail was $1,000.
And you have proof of that?
Yes. I have a bank statement here where I took the money out of the bank.
No, I need the bail statement, not where you took the money out.
I could not find it. I looked and looked, and I could not find the bail statement. I don't know if he has it or what.
All right. And the second thing that you want is for verbal abuse, which you don't get paid for, because you're suing him for $4,000. Way over. Okay, and the mortgage payment is $758. Okay, let's get to the bail first. Tell me the circumstances surrounding this bail.
The bail was, he was driving a car that was illegally licensed, and he got pulled over, and they took him to jail. And I can't remember if he had some other...
When was this?
This was in June of 2001.
Does that sound familiar, sir?
It sounds familiar in January, yes.
January of
Yeah.
2001?
No, it wasn't January. It was in the spring. The weather was beautiful.
Oh. Were you taken to jail, sir?
Yep.
Did you have bail?
Yep.
Where'd you get it from?
I have retrieved bail from Michael, a friend of mine. My mom has put up collateral for her house more than once, but just collateral.
No, I paid $1,000 and the collateral for that particular bail. The one he's talking about was for another charge that he was charged with, and his friend Michael did pay that bail for him because I had no more money to pay any more bail.
Why do you think your mother would lie about posting bail for you?
That's going to be the whole case. She's used her collateral more than once. I've asked her
More
to
than
use...
once for your bail?
Yep.
Well,
Yes,
how many
ma'am.
times have you been arrested, sir?
A few.
How many is a few?
A number?
Do you not, are you telling me you don't remember?
Well, Your Honor, I've absolutely been in trouble. I haven't recently, but yes, I've been in a deal of trouble and asked her for collateral at least 4 times.
Okay, well, this time she says in June of 2001, she also had to post the bail. So if you can't remember how many times you've been arrested, maybe you don't remember who posted the bail all the time.
I remember exactly who posted the bail, Your Honor.
Well, who posted the bail in June?
Michael.
She said that that was in January.
No, he
There
said
was no
that
arrest in June. I was only arrested in January. I went to the court
I
dates.
could
I
be
know what
wrong
the
with
date
the
is.
month. It was in the spring. Those two cases were very close together.
Okay.
And
Tell me, Mrs. Brown, did you get a call from your son from jail?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the phone call. Maybe that will
He
jog his
just called
memory.
and said that he had been arrested and he needed to get bailed out, and could I get the money? And I said, yes. The money that I used was money that was supposed to stay in the bank. That's why I am asking for the money back, because the money was for something else.
What was it for?
It was for, we were going to do some work on the house.
Let me look at your statement. You say that you took out $1,000 so that you would have exactly when you took out the $1,000.
Well, this is showing up on my June, so that's why I said June.
Well, it would tell you the date in June.
6/4, $1,000.
Now, tell me exactly where you took this $1,000. Look at me.
I bailed him from a bondsman in Tacoma. I could not find that bondsman. I looked in the phone book and I made calls and I could not remember the name of that bondsman. I bailed him out. He went to court. And then, of course, you don't get that $1,000 back because that was the 10%.
Let's get to the house payment in August. Did you, in fact, live in the house in August, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Beginning of August until when?
Till, actually, I think it was after, it was more like the 1st or 2nd of September, I think.
And your arrangement with your mother was that you would take care of the household expenses?
The agreement of me buying the home was me buying the home, yes, and everything involved with it.
Did you pay for August?
The money for paying for the August rent was supposed to be paid on that Friday, something had come up. I didn't get to it. That Friday night is the night that she came home and did her rampage and called the cops and kicked us out. That night, Friday night, assuming that I'd already paid, which I had not gotten a chance to pay yet.
But
So
it's due the beginning of August, not the end.
it gets paid, Your Honor. It gets paid every single month.
So your mother is correct that you did not make the $1,500 payment that you were supposed to make.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Is there any defense to that $1,500, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, she threw me and my son out in the street in the middle of the night.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You must have had some lollapalooza of a fight with your mother.
There was no fight.
You mean your mother went through a psychotic episode?
She does not like my son's mother.
That's not what happened at all.
And later today,
I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
It's not so long ago in the scheme of things.
You know, I had the emails when I had gotten the order of protection, and
let's get to the money.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Brown says her son Henry Brown owes for 1 month of household expenses. Henry says his mom threw him out on the street in the middle of the night.
Go ahead.
I came to give her the money for that mortgage the next week after she had told me I couldn't come around, told me I couldn't have my stuff, told me my son couldn't have his stuff, and I'd come to have a couple cars towed at her request, at which time the police were called by her.
Well, you must have had some lollapalooza of a fight with your mother.
There was no fight. I was at home with my son, with my son's mother, with her daughter, and with my 13-year-old nanny when she came home at 10 o'clock at night and kicked and booted me out.
You mean your mother went through a psychotic episode?
She does not like my son's mother. That's been her issue for about a month before this happened. That was her only issue. We had a fight about her before she left, I think it was on a Wednesday, and she came home Friday evening, and her first words were, she has to leave, she has to go, she has to leave. And I told her, no, it's 10 o'clock at night, and she got on the phone, called the cops, and told the cops I had been abusive and everything else. I'm standing there with cooking utensils, cooking food.
Why did you put your son out, Mrs. Brown?
That's not what happened at all.
Well, what
we
happened?
had been having an argument that whole week.
About what?
I did want him to move out because I didn't appreciate him yelling at me, getting in my face yelling at me. I did not appreciate him saying derogatory remarks about me. This is my home. I've lived here for 28 years, and I didn't feel like I had to put up with it. They had taken it upon themselves to move my furniture around. I did not yell at him. I said, Hank, I said, I don't want callers spending the night here. That's what I told him. And he just started yelling at me. And I said, okay, you need to move out. And he says, I'm not moving. I said, either you move, I'm going to go, or I'm going to call the police. He said, go ahead. So I said, fine. So I did. He had a warrant. He left so he wouldn't get arrested. 2 weeks later.
What did he have a warrant for?
I believe it's non-payment of child support. He has an older daughter. Then on that Monday, which was like the 3rd of September, I went straight to court and filed for protection order.
Okay.
He came to pick up his cars. I called the police, gave the police a protection order. They served him, and he went to jail on that same arrest warrant 2 weeks later.
Not on anything that had to do with you?
No. It didn't have anything to do with me.
Okay. Did he ultimately get his personal property and his son's personal property from the house?
Well, yes, he did. And by the way, when we went to finalize the protection order, I told him then, I need your stuff out of my house in 2 weeks because I need to have a roommate move in with me because I can't afford this house by myself. He never came. Ultimately, I put his son's bedroom set on the deck. I told my son, tell him to come and get Hanky's bedroom set before it is ruined, because by then it was like the end of October. He never came.
Where was he living?
Around.
With his son?
With his son. He's still living around with his son.
Okay. Well, I don't have a counterclaim for that. And in any event, I find that you did, in fact, post his bail, $1,000, and he owes you $1,500, almost acknowledged for August of 2001. So I'm entering a judgment for $2,500. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This woman, out of spite, has put me and my son out of our home that we had a good faith agreement on.
The agreement was if I died, he could inherit the house.
Don't trust nobody.
I guess he thought I was going to die in 2 or 3 years. I don't know.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Casey versus Kauf. Step forward, please.
Administrative Manager Sally Casey is suing Lisa Kaup and her parents Bob and Adelina Kaup for the cost to fix her son's car.
Stand over there.
You may be seated.
Mrs. Casey, it is your claim that the defendant's daughter, I assume this young lady right here, totaled your son's car.
That's correct.
She was driving the car without permission. You want her parents to be responsible. Her parents say that he shouldn't have let her drive the car, and it's not their responsibility. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like all the parents to sit down for a moment. What's your first name?
Michael.
Stand up on your own 2 feet, Michael. Your name?
Lisa.
You too. Put your hands at your sides. Good. That makes you more vulnerable. I want you to tell me how you got possession of his car. And you look at me, and I want you to make sure of one thing. I don't care what kind of baloney you gave to your parents. I don't care what kind of baloney you gave to your mother. What I'm going to find out is how you got possession of his car. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The school should have notified me. I can't be with her 24/7 watching over her.
If what you're telling me is that you actually believe that position, there is something seriously wrong with you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Michael Casey says schoolmate 16-year-old Lisa Kaup took his car without permission and wrecked it. Lisa says Michael willingly handed her the keys.
Let's go.
Okay. It was March 14, 2002. It was the day before my birthday. And it was 4th period, and my friends didn't want to go to 4th period. We thought it was a lame class. So
I want you to go slowly because I'm old and I can't hear you when you're speaking in 45 speed.
Okay.
It was your birthday. That's where you lost me.
So I had balloons and flowers, the whole 9, because it was the day before my birthday. And my friends didn't want to go to 4th period, so we decided to just go to school, but we didn't want to walk. And I had previously borrowed Mike Casey's car before. He said...
Shh. Go ahead.
So we wanted to borrow someone's car, so we found Mike. And one of my friends...
Who's we?
My friends, me and my 2 other friends.
Names?
Lisa and Gina.
So you found Mike where?
In the quad of the old school campus.
You were all together?
Yes. We approached him and we asked, Mike, can we borrow your car?
Who asked?
My friend Lisa. And then she said, Mike, can we borrow your car? And he said, go ahead, as long as you put gas in it. So then we took the car, we walked out of school, and we took the car, and we went to my friend Lisa's house. And then we jumped back into the car, and then we were pulling away from the driveway. I looked over my shoulder, but because of the balloons and the flowers that I looked over, and the car must have been in my blind spot. So then I pulled away from the curb real slow, and then the car came up, and the whole other side of the road was open, but the car didn't move out of the way. She just approached forward. And then so we collided, and but the left fender of Mike's car hit the front fender of the other woman's car.
Now your version.
All right, I was in...
No, look at me.
Okay.
And I want you to trust me. I don't care what story you gave to your mother. I want you to know that I have a truth machine back here.
All right.
Do you understand?
I understand.
Good.
All right. It was around 12 o'clock, right before lunch, and Lisa, her friend, came up to me. I didn't see this Lisa or her other friend. I don't know what the other friend's name was. But Lisa came up to me and asked me for the keys because I gave her a ride the day before, to school. She said she left a notebook in my car. She took the keys from me. I said, meet me back here in 5 minutes. So I waited for 5 minutes, waited for 20, waited for 30, waited for 40. I was called into the office. I saw them in the back of a police car come up. They said, your car has been totaled. I was like, how has my car been totaled? They said, it's been crashed. I was like, how has it been crashed? They said, well, Lisa Kaup was driving your car and she crashed it. I said, Lisa Kaup? I gave the keys to Lisa in the first place. What's the whole point here?
Let me see a police report.
This one?
Have you in the past let anyone else drive your car?
No. Ever.
That's not true.
Well, my grandpa, the one that gave it to me?
No, I'm not talking about your grandpa. I'm talking about any other of your peers drive your car.
The only person that's ever driven my car other than me, one of my peers, is my friend Vince. That's all.
Excuse me, Your Honor. The first time that I had borrowed his car, we came back to lunch, and one of his friends came up to me, and they're like, what are you doing in Mike's car? And we're like, oh, Mike said the keys are in the ignition, we can take it. He was like, oh, okay, that's cool. He got in the car and he took off.
Who was
One of his
this?
other friends. Sean.
Sean came up to you and said that?
Yes. He came into the car and he took off with the car.
Sean took off with the car?
Yes.
How did you get the keys to the car on that date?
We said, oh, can I borrow your car, Mike? And he was like, go ahead. I was like, I don't have my license, I just have my permit. He's like,
How
I
did
don't
you know
mind.
my
The keys
name?
are
I've
in
never
the...
met you. I never met you before that.
He was like, oh, I don't mind. Go ahead. The keys are in the ignition.
Okay. Now,
keys are in the ignition?
Just a minute. Now you can stand up. I tell you this. Even though I have some question about how she got control of that car, you're responsible, because she's responsible. I have some serious questions as to whether, when he just gave her the keys to the car, this other girl who said, go get your things out of the car, I left a notebook there because I was in the car a day before. I'm not so sure. Your daughter has no right to drive a car, right?
Right.
She knows she has no right to be driving a car.
Correct.
She was driving the car in a negligent fashion because she had all of her balloons in the back so she couldn't see what was going on. So what makes you folks think she's not responsible?
Well, she is an unlicensed permit, has a permit only. And she was given the keys by the boy, and he knew that she didn't have a driver's license. Why would he give the keys to her
Where
when
is
she
her
don't have a driver's license?
Where is her responsibility?
She should have known. But
So, where is her
I dropped her off
responsibility?
at school. I expect her in school. And if she is tempted by someone else that's unresponsible and not driving the car, or in giving her the keys to drive the car, the school should have notified me. I can't be with her 24/7 watching over her. And it's high school. I mean, she's no little baby.
There is something wrong with you. Unless you're telling me that you're trying to make it a situation better. But if what you're telling me is that you actually believe that position, there is something seriously wrong with you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Michael Casey says schoolmate 16-year-old Lisa Kaup took his car without permission and wrecked it. Lisa says Michael willingly handed her the keys.
She's blamed everybody else but herself. I guess she gets that from you.
No.
It was the other lady who had plenty of room to go around them but didn't. It wasn't the fact that she couldn't see out of the back window because of all the balloons. It was the other lady's fault. It was his fault because he gave her the keys, or the other Lisa the keys, and Lisa gave her the keys. She has a responsibility. And since she has no money, it falls on you.
She shouldn't have been given the keys.
She had no right to take it.
I agree.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Where do you live?
Rosemead,
Where is that?
California.
Have you ever been to Las Vegas?
Yes, ma'am.
You're at the airport waiting to go to Las Vegas. You see a couple of pilots coming out. They're going to get on your plane. One of the pilots says, "Oi, I have such a terrible headache. Mr. Kaup, would you please take the keys to this 747? And would you take the plane and fly it into Las Vegas as a co-pilot, because you need two people in the front cockpit in case something happens to the pilot. Would you do that?"
No.
Why not?
I'm not going to jeopardize my life or other
Right,
people.
because you don't have the wherewithal to fly a plane.
Right.
You've not been properly trained to fly a plane. Even though this pilot gave you the keys and says, go start it up and take off.
I would have
You wouldn't be
refused
an idiot, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be an idiot. Well, your daughter's an idiot.
She should have known better. I agree.
Right, there we go. Now you get into some responsibility.
She should have said, no, I don't want the keys, but she didn't.
No, she went and asked for the keys. Don't you understand? He didn't say, even according to her, here, I'm going to find Lisa and give her the keys to the car because she's got all these balloons and flowers. They came looking for him, according to her story.
But he could have said no. He didn't have to say yeah. He knew that he didn't have a permit.
I think it's genetic.
I say no. When
You
my other
said-
daughters want to drive,
Right.
I tell them no. She should have been paying attention.
That's it. Now, look, at least I made a convert out of one of you. He didn't do the wrong thing. You did the wrong thing. I want you to repeat after me. I did the wrong thing.
I did the wrong thing.
That's better. That didn't hurt much, did it? Let me see the bill to fix your car.
There's that. There's the impound.
Did you get the car out?
No, it was useless. You couldn't be driven anymore.
You have pictures of this car?
Yes, I do.
Good.
Here we go.
How did you deal with the damage to the other car?
I'm pretty sure my insurance company paid for it.
Yes, Your Honor, may I interject here?
Stand up.
Actually, what had happened was I had contacted my insurance company and explained to them that my son had been involved in an accident, and the insurance follows the car. Therefore, my insurance covered the damage to the Lexus as a result of...
The car that was damaged.
Correct.
By her. That's a very good insurance
Yes.
company you have. So now I'm going to give you the bad news. I don't believe your story. I believe that you are partially responsible. I think she's more responsible than you are. Your total damages were $1,992, and I am attributing 1/3 of those damages to you. 2/3 to her. That comes to $1,328. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So you have to understand something. If you're given the keys to a car, and you're given a car to drive, you don't give those keys to anybody, whether they want to get a notebook, whether they want to listen to music, whether they want to do anything. You keep the keys to your car in your pocket, because the only one who's going to suffer out of this whole thing is your mother.
I understand.
Because her insurance is going to go up. She had a lot of aggravation, all because you wanted to be a nice guy. And as far as you're concerned, I have made your father a convert. Your father now understands the word responsibility. I hope that by repeating the phrase that I gave you 100 times in the mirror every night, you will also understand that if you do something wrong, you're supposed to fess up and say, I did it wrong, it was my fault. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
A pretty face only gets you so far, that's all.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
Was lying about the whole situation.
The parents seem to be very irresponsible as far as the actions of their children.
What's happened has happened, and at least that's not the full amount that I have to pay.
I'm just glad I got my part of the money.
It's not like it's a one-way street here. He gave me the keys, and I took it in return.
Don't give your keys out to chicks.
Voiceover artist Scott Laverty is suing technical director Shannon Burrows for filing false charges of road rage. Shannon is countersuing for damage to his truck and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 223 on the calendar in the matter of Laverty versus Burrows. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Laverty, it is your claim, sir, that the defendant filed false charges against you.
Yes.
False charges, a road rage type incident.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burrows says that the charges he filed were, in fact, true, and is counterclaiming for damages that he alleges were caused when you broke or cracked his windshield during this incident. What time of the day did this incident start?
About 12:30.
On what date?
November 20th, 2001.
And what kind of vehicle were you driving, Mr. Laverty?
A 97 Dodge Ram truck.
And you, sir?
A 98 Toyota Tacoma pickup truck.
Where were you going, Mr. Laverty?
I was on my way to the gym.
And you?
On my way to work.
When did you first notice the plaintiff?
A little past the 101-170 interchange.
And where were you in relation to the plaintiff?
I was in the left lane.
Because you were the complainant in this case, right?
Originally in the criminal complaint, yes.
Go ahead.
I was in the left lane of the 101 freeway southbound.
You were in the passing lane?
Correct.
And where was Mr. Laverty?
He came up behind me in the same lane.
So he wanted you to move over so that...
He was flashing his high beams and he was at a pretty high rate of speed.
So he wanted you to move over?
I attempted to oblige.
What do you mean you attempted to oblige?
I turned on my right signal and began to move over into the number 2 lane, at which point he accelerated around me, honking his horn, and pulled back into the number 1 lane of traffic.
Okay, what happened next?
He locked his brakes up in a big cloud of smoke until we were all stopped. Pretty much all the other cars, the freeway came to a stop.
You were able to stop?
I was able to stop and not hit him. As soon as he passed me and pulled back in the lane, I realized I had better slow down, so I began slowing down. He was traveling faster than me and had a much heavier vehicle, so he was quite a bit distance up the road past me.
And everybody else was able to stop too?
Well, at least the 1, 2, and 3 lanes, everybody pretty much stopped, and we kind of looked at each other like, what do we do? At that point, I saw the reverse lights come on in the pickup truck, and he started reversing, which made me pretty nervous. I got eye contact with the cars in the other lane, and I was able to pull off to the shoulder without too much trouble.
What happened next?
He did the same. He pulled over to the far right emergency lane.
Okay. Go ahead.
But quite a ways up, at which point he started reversing up the right emergency shoulder. At that point, I realized that this was not going to dissipate, so I called the CHP.
Okay. And then what happened?
He started getting closer to my vehicle, at which point...
Try looking at me all the time.
Okay. He started getting closer to my vehicle, at which point I saw the brake lights come on. I pulled back into traffic, at which point I was talking to the 911 operator, and I proceeded southbound on the 101, and he finally caught up to me, at which point I really couldn't see him. I could feel the energy, and I heard a pretty loud thud against the side of my truck. He then sped off, and I kind of lost sight of him for a little while, and then when I get off at the exit at Cahuenga, he's there. And I guess the 911 operator said, "Can you see the license plate number?" I said yes. I blurted the license plate number to the operator, at which point Mr. Laverty, got out of his truck with a cat's paw nail prying tool, which I reported to the 911 operator, and then I sped away and pulled back onto the freeway, at which point I was talking to the 911 operator, who said they transferred me to the LAPD at that point, and they told me to go to the Wilcox Hollywood Police Department to fill out the report.
And that's what happened?
Yes. As I was leaving the crossing Cahuenga, I was driving away, and he threw a metal object. I don't know what the metal object was, and I went back to look to see if I could find it, and it was not there. A small silver lug nut or socket, which hit the windshield and cracked it.
How come you left that out?
At
How
which
come you
point-
left it out of your narrative, Mr. Burroughs? It's sort of interesting that that's formed the basis, really, of your complaint against him, and you told me the whole story. You left that out of the narrative.
Well,
That's interesting.
Well, okay.
Just a minute. All right, Mr. Laverty, now I want you to tell me your version of the events, please.
All right. I was traveling southbound on the 170 freeway, where the 101 interchange is. There was a problem at the Vineland exit. Mr. Burroughs was in that traffic jam. Our lanes on the 170 were completely free. I was doing about 65, 70 miles an hour.
What do you mean, your lanes? You mean the left lane, the passing lane?
Yeah, there's 2 lanes on the 170 that merge with the 101. I was in the fast lane. To the left of me was a carpool lane. To the right, the slow lane. He crossed the double white lines from a dead stop, crossed over the slow lane, went into the fast lane directly in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes to avoid hitting him. As I'm slamming on my brakes, he starts punching his brake pedal, giving me the bird, yelling in his rear view mirror.
You don't hear him yelling, you just see something, right?
No, I hear him.
How could you hear
His
him?
window's open. Well, I guess
How
not
could
hearing
you?
him, but he's looking in the
Mr.
rear view.
Laverty, I've been around probably longer than you have, and there's a certain common sense. If you're driving 65 miles an hour and somebody is in front of you, you don't hear them if they're yelling at you in their rearview mirror. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay.
I didn't hear him.
You didn't hear him.
I saw him
You
yelling.
saw him mouthing.
That's what I was.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Anyhow, I tried passing to the right. He cut me off, still hitting his brakes. I tried passing to the left. He sprayed windshield wiper fluid on my car.
How did that happen?
I guess he hit his windshield wiper dealy.
As he was passing you?
No. He's cutting me off to the left. I'm behind him again.
Right.
Then he sprayed the windshield wiper fluid on me.
Maybe his windshield was dirty. Or maybe it was cracked. Who knows? Go ahead.
He's a giggler.
Right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anyhow, I tried to pass to the right. He threw batteries, or what looked to be batteries, out of his car window at my car. I pulled away from him. He pulled over behind me. I came to a stop. He pulled back into traffic.
Now, you were going to the gym.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your gym?
On Cole Street.
Cole Street.
It's
And what exit do you get off to go to the
Cahuenga.
gym? Cahuenga.
Yeah.
And where do you work?
I work at the Film Institute.
And what exit do you get off at?
I get off at the Vineland, the Argyle, excuse me, Argyle.
Argyle.
It's the one right past Cahuenga.
But you got off at Cahuenga.
That's correct.
Don't tell me because anything. You actually followed him off.
That's
the
correct.
exit.
Can I explain?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know how his windshield got broken. Crowbar, lug nut, a pair of stockings, a pair of underpants. I don't know what broke his windshield.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Laverty says he had phony assault charges filed against him by Shannon Burroughs. Shannon says Scott is a maniac.
Go ahead.
I turned right at the end of the off-ramp. He appeared out of nowhere, just like a bat out of it. Anyway, he just appeared real quick. I saw him in my rearview mirror, revving up to me, hitting his brake, revving up, hitting his brake, like he's going to hit me. So I get to the end of the off-ramp, I turn right, about 20 yards, I pull over, he pulls behind me, then does a U-turn, gets right back on the freeway. That is the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Not the lies, just the story.
Mm-hmm. And after the trial, you were found not guilty.
Of all the counts.
I would like to see what you have of the police report, please.
I have a 911 tape as evidence.
Oh, I'd like to hear the 911 tape.
I'm sure you will.
What?
The actual... Shh. Sorry. I won't do it again.
Berg, would you take the 911 tape, please, and bring it up here? I can never hear from over there. I assume that that's keyed up to the right place?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear it.
What is wrong with this guy? He's doing like 100 miles an hour now. I couldn't get it to pay. What's going on? I couldn't smoke. What's your name? My name is Shannon Burroughs. B-U-R-O-U-G-H-S. Okay, we're going to broadcast information, okay? Should I try to get it put in here? No, it might be too dangerous. A little more on the broadcast. No. Don't worry about it. Okay. I've got 5 L8. Okay. And, is it about you? Yeah, it should be the boss. Just do a quick report in the car. Time? 911, where's that by 659? 5SP, speed transfer. Hi. Give me the address of where you're calling from or what and what's going on. A guy on the freeway threw several objects in my car, pulled in front of me, slamming on his brakes. I did nothing to provoke him. And what's the address? It's Hollywood, I would say Vine and Yucca. On the street, sir? Yeah, and he's damaged my vehicle, so I need to follow this up. Okay, sir, did he throw these objects at you on the freeway? Oh, it's on the freeway and on the surface street. So he started on the freeway throwing stuff at you? That's right, and he cracked my windshield. Okay, how long ago did he tell me? Of course, it's probably about 10 minutes from... Yeah, it's about 10 minutes ago. I had to literally go through a red light and go around a big U-turn because this guy was throwing crowbars, or what appeared to be a crowbar at my truck, and broke my windshield. Okay, did you want to make a report over the phone? What do you think I should do? I mean, I need to recoup my loss here because I know for a fact that this windshield is about $500.
Mr. Burroughs, you told the police what was happening. You asked the police whether you should follow Mr. Laverty and get his plate number. They tell you not to do that. You decide to do it anyway. So clearly you felt as if you were not in any danger because you did follow him off the freeway. You got off at his exit, came up against him quickly, and while you originally told me that what cracked your windshield was a small lug nut, perhaps you couldn't see it, but a small lug nut, you clearly told the police that what broke your windshield was a crowbar that he had thrown at your car.
That's right.
Which is probably why the case was dismissed against Mr. Lafferty, because your testimony was so inconsistent. You say in your answer, Mr. Burroughs, that he's lucky he got off on a technicality. That's not a technicality. You're the only witness to this event. And when the only witness to this event gives false or inconsistent statements in order to buttress their version of the events. Person who has to decide the case, in that case a criminal case, says, I can't believe him. I can't convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt with all this inconsistent testimony. Go ahead.
When I had blurted out that it was the crowbar, I was on the 911 call. I was full of adrenaline, and the only thing that I had originally seen in his hand was the cat's paw, which is a small crowbar. But when my blood pressure came down a little bit and I thought about it, I remember seeing a small silver object coming at my truck. That's when I heard the impact. So you're right. I was under duress, and I did say crowbar because that's the only thing I had seen at the time.
You weren't under duress, sir. You both of you guys driving around in your pickups had a little bit too much adrenaline flowing that day. You, Mr. Laverty, were probably going a little too fast.
I was doing about 65. I was going with the flow of traffic.
Oh. And Mr. Burroughs, I don't know, maybe he didn't like the fact that your truck was bigger than his. I have no idea what it was.
I'm sorry, but
I have no idea what it was, Mr. Lafferty, but I want to ask you this question. First of all, I'm dismissing his counterclaim. He's got a counterclaim for his broken windshield. I don't know how his windshield got broken. Crowbar, lug nut, a pair of stockings, a pair of underpants. I don't know what broke his windshield. Clearly, I cannot make a determination that it was anything that came out of your hand or out of your truck. You have a complaint against him. Your complaint is one for having you falsely arrested. And what I want, you look like a relatively reasonable person. Is there anything that you could have done that day to prevent any interaction with Mr. Burroughs?
No, I tried. I pulled over to let him pass. I got off on my exit. After he had passed, he was behind me. I did everything I could. The crack on that windshield is a little tiny line. The original Polaroids were the property of the city attorney's office. They handed them to the jury. You literally couldn't see the crack. The picture of the crack in the report you have right there is blown up about 4 or 5 times. Do you think if I threw this at his windshield?
That is not
We're not
all.
done. It's not you.
Oh, okay.
Or even a lug nut that maybe weighs 4 or 5 ounces. There would be an impact point. I threw nothing at his windshield.
Let me tell you something. There is no question in my mind that he acted inappropriately that day. I just wanted to know, from your perspective, was there anything that you could have done? Let's say you were shy, timid, little old lady driving around in a station wagon instead of a big guy driving around in a pickup truck.
All right.
With somebody else in the left lane, they're in the left lane, jockeying for position.
All right.
Is there anything that you think that little old lady could have done to get away from him so that this whole thing wouldn't have happened?
She probably would have had a heart attack.
Mr. Laverty, what I find most persuasive about your arguments are, quite frankly, is you got off at your exit and he didn't. You got off at your exit to go to your gym, to take care of the rest of your business, what you were going to do, and this gentleman here did absolutely nothing but continue the provocation. And quite frankly, I cannot, in my mind's eye, see the 101 freeway, is that what they're talking about here? The 101 freeway, all 3 lanes coming to a complete stop and everybody looking at each other. What do we do now?
We're talking about a pile of smoke. It was a cloud of smoke.
I have anti-lock brakes. My brakes don't skid. My wheels don't.
So not true.
Just a second. I cannot imagine, unless every news channel around would have a picture of that, the lanes of traffic on the 101 coming to a complete stop because of some guys playing around in their trucks.
And then I'm going to go backwards with 70-mile-an-hour people coming out.
Exactly the point why I called 911, because it was obviously someone out of control.
You were.
No, I think Mr. Burroughs. Mr. Burroughs.
Way out of control.
Don't push. Mr. Burroughs, I think that from your perspective, you thought that he was driving inappropriately.
I just wanted to get out of his way.
No.
You hopped in my way.
That's just not true.
It is true.
It's just not
Mr.
true.
Laverty,
I mean, you're saying
you
that I
just
was
lost
in
your
stop
case.
traffic?
I want to tell you something. You just lost your case. You want to know why you lost your case?
How?
Because you have a bad temper. You can't even be quiet when I tell you to be quiet. And you keep saying, I'm sorry. That doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it. You have to be able to control your temper under all circumstances. He didn't do the right thing. If he's got a broken windshield, he's going to take care of it himself. Now,
Which I did.
Which you did. And he's not going to
I guess
He's not going to pay you.
have to pay for it.
Oh, he sure is not going to have to pay you for it, but I certainly am not going to issue a judgment in your favor, Mr. Laverty. I think that you both probably acted a little inappropriately that day. And I think that if you had it to do all over again, perhaps you know that you lost a great deal of time defending these charges. He lost a great deal of time being involved with this. Plus, do you work?
Yes, full-time.
What kind of work do you do?
I do technical direction.
Full-time. And you?
I do voiceover work.
Okay. So you both work. You don't work full-time, that I know. You work part-time when the jobs come up.
I haven't said whether I do or not. So
Well,
how would you know that?
If you're doing voiceover work, that usually doesn't mean that it's a 9-to-5 job, Monday through Friday.
I'm still trying to figure out why he interrupted me and I get yelled at.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry.
I am.
I don't understand it.
Very easy. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Party's excused. You may step out.
Well, he's a big guy in a big truck and wants to bully his way down the freeway.
Everything he said was wrong. There was holes in the police report.
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I have a new windshield.
He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a jerk.
You can pretty much do a lot of stuff to someone and get away with it.
I just didn't do it.
Assistant Charvette Cross is suing her former friend, maintenance man Devin Davis, for vandalizing her car and for an assault.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 128 on the calendar, the matter of Cross versus Davis.
Thanks,
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cross, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours, and it is your claim that after some disagreement last New Year's Eve, he vandalized your car and later assaulted you. Mr. Davis says he did neither. So you had been his girlfriend for a while. You went to a party.
I was never his girlfriend. We were just friends.
You went to a party together?
Yes.
New Year's Eve?
Yes.
According to you, you were dancing with somebody else and he got annoyed?
Yes.
So take it from there.
All right. We went together as friends. I started dancing with someone else. 2 minutes into the dancing, he came up and pulled me on my arm and said he needed to talk to me. I told him I would talk to him when I was done dancing. He continued to stand there. Once I did finish dancing, I asked him what did he want. And he told me, why was I here dancing with someone else? And that's when I told him, why would you ask me that? We're just here as friends. You're not my boyfriend, and I can do what I want to do. And he kind of shoved me and he walked away. I didn't see him anymore that night at the club. I left about an hour and a half later. When I did arrive in front of Devin's building, I noticed he was...
You went back to his building. Why?
Because my van was parked there. I left it there and we got a cab because I didn't want to be drinking and driving.
So you went back to his place to pick up your car?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And that's when I noticed he was outside in front of it. And as we pulled up, the lights, when it shined on the vehicle, it's when he ran into his building. And that's when I noticed that the tires were slashed, the first thing I noticed, and the windows were busted. And I ran into the building after him.
Okay. So when you got up to the building, you saw him standing near your car,
When
near your
we were
van.
pulling up.
You saw him standing near your van?
Yes.
You didn't see him doing anything to your car?
Well, he was motioning. I couldn't exactly see.
You didn't see him doing it? Just answer my question.
No.
Right. And then you saw him run into the building?
Yes.
Next.
And that's when my witness, she got out of the car because I couldn't get in the building, and I was buzzing and bamming, and then finally a neighbor walked out of the building, and that's how I got in. But there was another door that I couldn't get through, so I stood there and I buzzed his buzzer, and that's when I noticed the defendant looking up from the basement through the windows, and finally someone else did come out, and that's how I got in, and I confronted him then.
Where did you go to confront him?
Right inside the entrance of the doorway. It's in the hall.
Go ahead.
I asked him, why did you do that to my vehicle? And he didn't answer me. I grabbed his shirt, and he kind of pushed me and told me not to touch him, and I continued to grab his shirt, and it's when he swung, and he hit me, and I hit him back.
When did you get him in a headlock?
When we were in the altercation.
Just a minute. According to your complaint, madam, he pushed you, you pushed him.
Yes.
That's what you say. You have to get your story straight. And then you say at some point you got him in a headlock.
Yes.
And what happened when you got him in a headlock?
I punched him. I punched him in the face.
Yeah. So, and then what happened?
And that's when my witness came up and she kind of broke it up.
So why are you suing him for assault?
Because he hit me first. I only grabbed his shirt.
That's touching him. You can't grab his shirt.
Okay.
I mean, okay. You grabbed him. He, according to you, pushed you away. You grabbed his shirt again.
Yes.
Why?
Because I wanted to know why he did that to my vehicle.
Why didn't you just go call the police?
I did.
Why didn't you call the police first before you put your hands on him?
I was upset.
Sure. Can't sue him for assault. You touched him first. Got him in a headlock and then punched him in the face. Then he hit you back. If he did it at all, he says he didn't do anything. Is this your witness?
Yes, it is.
Step up here. Tell me your name.
Kanaiza Mutiva.
You were with her when you got home from the club?
Yes.
You didn't see him doing anything to the car?
I saw a shadow of someone running towards the building, but I didn't know. We actually met at the club, she and I did. So when we pulled up, I didn't know whose house we were in front of. We just pulled up, someone ran, and she ran out of the car.
When you say you saw someone, it was a person that you could not identify. You couldn't see their face?
It was like 1:30 in the morning. It was a male.
So you couldn't see their face? No. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Could you see what they were wearing? Or was it too dark?
It was very dark, but I also didn't know that there was anything wrong at the time when I saw someone
That's not
running.
what I'm asking you. I'm asking
it was dark and I didn't see what they were wearing.
And you were in the car with the plaintiff?
Yes.
How is it that your witness couldn't see the face of the person and you could?
Because I was looking at my vehicle as we were coming up. I was paying attention to my vehicle because that's where we were going to.
I was also in the back seat of the car.
All right, Mr. Davis, now you tell me your version of these events, sir.
Well, me and Charvette went out to a club called The Zone. She asked me to use my cell phone. That's how everything else happened. I was talking to a friend. I gave her my cell phone. Then later on, I asked for my cell phone. I forgot that I gave it to her. That's when I seen her dance on the floor with the two guys and my phone. So I pulled her to the side, asked her for my phone back, asked her what she was doing. She's supposed to be with me. She said that we were just dating, not my boyfriend. So I got my cell phone back. So I went to another part of the club, and she went her way. And I went home. But before I went home, it took about maybe half an hour just to get a cab, and I wasn't able to get one right away. So I went home, changed my clothes, because everybody wanted to know how was the evening.
You went home because the evening was over?
Right. It was like 2 in the morning when everything shut down.
Oh, so what'd you change your clothes for?
I was done. It was time to go home.
Why did you change your clothes? It was done, time to go home. Why do you go home and change it? You put on your pajamas? Into what did you change? Did you put on your jammies? Did you put on a new pair of jeans? What did you put on?
I just put on regular clothes.
Where were you going?
What happened was that when I went home, I changed my clothes. I went downstairs in my apartment building because everyone wanted to know how was the evening.
So you were going to meet up with some other people?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
As I went downstairs to tell my friend what happened, there were some police officers there. So they told me, go back. So I went back to my apartment. And then when I went to my apartment, there were some police officers driving in the parking lot, shining their lights. I went to the manager, asked him what was going on. He was saying something about someone was damaging their vehicle.
And you didn't know anything about that?
No.
Were you arrested?
No.
Did you file a police report?
Yes, I did.
Can I see it, please? Is this the only report that you have?
Yes, it is. They said that because it was not an emergency and because it was the New Year's, that they could not dispatch another one out. I would have to wait 2 hours, and I live in another city, and there was nowhere for me to wait.
So you did not wait until the police arrived, is that right?
No.
You did not wait. So when it says here, victim states that when she confronted the suspect about the damage, he hit her, causing a split lip and a bruise to her face, that's something you reported over the telephone?
Yes, it is.
You have photographs?
I have photographs of my vehicle, yes.
I'm not interested in your car. I'm interested in your face.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I also did have to get a harassment order because the defendant continued to call me the next day as if nothing ever happened. He called and said, "What's up? What are you doing?"
Have you used any drugs at this club that you went to?
And later today.
What kind of furniture are we talking about, sir?
We're just talking about regular furniture. I have.
Regular furniture, as opposed to irregular furniture.
Well,
what furniture?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charvette Cross says after an argument at a club, former friend Devin Davis vandalized her car and assaulted her. Devin says Charvette punched him first.
Ms. Cross, I'm not satisfied with your story. Doesn't make sense to me that someone is assaulted, has their face bashed in, has their car totaled, slashing all 4 tires, breaking all 4 windows, breaking the rear view mirror, interior lights, breaking headlights, ripping off the bug visor and slashing the upholstery, doesn't wait for the police to arrive, especially if she can identify the perpetrator. So I'm not going to make that judgment now. That's what you do. You wait for the police to arrive. Police take a statement, they take his statement, they take witnesses' statements, they render a police report. That's of some help to me. He says he didn't do it. She says she couldn't see who was standing there.
Your Honor, when we was inside the building and after she broke up the fight and I asked him why did he do it, she was standing there and she can witness to what he said.
Oh, well, I'm waiting to hear that. What did he say?
He admitted that he did it.
No. What did he say?
He said that he did it. He said he was sorry he did it. He never explained why he did it.
Now I come back to you. So far, this witness has been honest with me. The witness has said to me, I couldn't see who the person was who was standing outside. She didn't lie. She said it was dark. Couldn't see their clothing. I couldn't see their face. That's honest. She could have just as easily said to me, I saw it was him, right?
True.
Then why do you think she would lie to me now when she says that you did it, you would acknowledge that you did it, and said you were sorry? Why do you think she would lie about that?
Well, first of all, I ain't doing anything, and I don't know why she said that.
No, I'm asking you, why do you think she would lie about one thing and not another?
I have no idea.
Don't?
No.
And you never got into a physical altercation with Miss Cross at all that evening? Physical?
No, not really physical, no.
What do you mean, not really physical? What does that mean, not really physical?
When she came in and pushed my buzzer, I wasn't able to buzz her in because it was broken, so I had to come downstairs. When I come downstairs, I spoke to Charvette through the glass door because she was angry. Are you what? I said, what's going on? That's when she came out the car. So I'm still behind the glass. I didn't go nowhere. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, I know you did this. I know you did that. I said, no, not me. And that's when she swung at me. Because both of them left. They left the premises, went back toward the car. Took off.
Now I'll look at the damage to your car.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
First of all, he wasn't truthful. His friend was never with us, and I never used his cell phone when we were at the club. Another thing, he just stated that I swung at him, but he was behind the glass door. Why would I swing at a glass door that's closed?
I gotcha. I want you to think very hard, madam, about what he said to you about the damage to the car.
I remember him saying that he felt bad that he did it. I was waiting for a why, and that's all I ever heard her say. I'd also like to say that the only reason I went in the building was because I saw the struggle. He wasn't behind a door. They were struggling, and I ran in there.
Okay, let me see the estimate to fix this van.
May I say something else, Your Honor? At the time that the car was damaged, I still had Christmas gifts in there, and nothing was taken out of it. Brand new bikes and presents, and nothing was stolen.
And it's not a very nice neighborhood.
I also did have to get a harassment order because the defendant continued to call me the next day as if nothing ever happened.
What did he say when he called you?
Well, he called and said, "What's up? What are you doing?" As if nothing had ever happened the night before, which I found very, very strange. And I told him, don't call me anymore. Are you going to pay for my vehicle? He said, well, I'll pay for half because I do feel bad about it. And that's when I said, that's not okay with me. I didn't do half the damage. I don't feel that you should only pay for half.
They use any drugs at this club that you went to?
No, but we did smoke marijuana before we went.
What about him?
Yeah, he did.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,732. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I told him we were only friends, and obviously he wanted more than that.
They didn't see me do it. I was nowhere around.
He totally lied.
A dog attack.
Mr. Ali, you bought yourself a Tesla.
Yes, ma'am.
A new one?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
I bought it on 6th of June.
Of this year?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it, sir?
68.
And there was a loan on the car?
There's a loan on the car, yes.
So you have full insurance on the car?
Yes.
What's your deductible?
Deductible is $1,000.
$1,000.
Yes.
This is what your case is about. You were going to check on a child's house of yours.
Yes, ma'am. It's my son's house. I go there every day. We bought that house for on my son's and my name. It's from.
Oh, so it's a house that's jointly owned by you and your son?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't live there regularly?
I don't live there.
And where does Mr. Miller live?
He lives on a different street, but his backyard and my backyard, they meet each other in the back.
How long have you owned that house?
Since 2014.
Long time.
Long time.
Have you met Mr. Miller?
I met him a few times, yes.
Mr. Miller, you recall meeting Mr. Ali?
Yes, ma'am, once.
Okay, but you've met him?
Yes.
Does your son have dogs?
No.
And does the tenant have a dog?
She does.
What kind of dog?
A Yorkie.
You have a Yorkie?
Yes.
It's a small dog.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have one Yorkie in the house. And you have 2 dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind?
A pit bull breed.
Pit bull?
Yes, ma'am.
And the other?
No, both are the same.
Both are the same.
One's actually the mom and the son.
And how old are they?
The mom's 10, the son's about 8.
And you've had them for years?
Since they were born.
So June 16th, you go to check on the house.
Yes.
Tell me what you saw when you pulled up to the house.
When I went there to the house to check my mail, I saw 2 dogs.
Where did you see the 2
I
dogs?
saw them in the porch.
On your porch?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen those dogs before?
The one is black and white, and I have some pictures of them.
Oh, you took photos?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Judge.
You took photos of them on the porch or initially when you saw them?
After I saw them, I was walking out, then I took the picture.
Okay, may I see the photograph? Take out the photographs of your dogs. Would you say, give me both photographs, please? I see. One is black.
One is white.
And one is fawn color and white. Are these pictures of your dogs?
Those are pictures of my dogs.
At his house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now your dogs are out. You're not at his house, just your dogs.
Just the dogs.
Okay, so now I got it. So you took pictures of the dogs the day of this incident at your house?
Yes.
And these are your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car.
Then I realized that I think maybe I need to get away from them because they were very ferocious and growling. And I quietly walked away from them, go to my car, lock myself in, and I said, I need to get out. So I saw them, they were jumping all around my car and biting everything.
They were biting what?
Biting the right side of the tire, this side, and the rim and all that.
What your claim is that the dogs caused a substantial amount of damage to your car.
Right.
May I see the photographs of the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
So the car had scratches on it, I see. And what about the wheel rim? Is that, you're also... Okay, have you seen the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
He sent you pictures of damage.
He sent me
to the
some pictures, yes,
of the damage. Okay, so now, Mr. Miller, what Mr. Ali is saying is that your dogs, who he has pictures of, that you acknowledge are your dogs,
Yes, ma'am.
caused damage to his car that he had for a week, that he paid almost $70,000 for. The dogs were clearly outside of your control. They were out of your control because you acknowledge that the photographs of them are without collars, without leashes, nobody around them, and the photographs are taken at his house. I'd like to hear a defense.
Your Honor, there was no way for my dogs to have done the damage. My dogs are older. One of them has no teeth. We have to put water and stuff on her food just so she can eat. The other dog's teeth are filed down. Both of them are up in age. My dogs have never harmed anyone. I have 10 cars of my own in my yard, and
Because on one dog, it looks as if the incisors are filed down a little bit. still has teeth, but the incisors are filed down. Is what you're telling me that that was a natural process, or you had them filed down?
No, ma'am. Absolutely natural.
Absolutely not what?
Absolutely natural.
Absolutely natural. Okay, so the dogs still have teeth. They are smoother rather than sharp, but they still have teeth. Okay, but that's why they're dogs. You weren't there to witness this, so I have to assume that what the plaintiff tells me is true because his evidence is consistent with that. He has photographs of your dogs outside of your control, no collar, no leash, at his house. And he said that he took those pictures on the damage are your dogs. I'm still waiting for a defense. You mean the fact that they've never done it before you think is a defense?
No, ma'am, not.
What were they doing outside of your control?
They actually got out of my yard from a previous tenant of his dogs that dug a hole up under my gate.
Just a second. So a previous tenant of his had a dog.
Had several dogs.
Several dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't live there anymore. Dug a hole under the fence. When did that happen?
That was earlier that year.
Okay, and when did you first discover it?
I didn't realize it until after this incident.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir. You're responsible for his deductible. Did you have the car fixed?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Why not?
I have an estimate, and I approached him of that, and I said, let's see if we can do something about this.
Mr. Ali.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
have
ma'am.
insurance.
Yes.
And you have insurance for this type of problem.
Yes, Judge.
And you have a $1,000 deductible.
Yes, Judge.
Homeowner's insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the homeowner's insurance exclude your pit bulls?
Do they exclude them? I'm not sure.
Well, in what state do you live?
Florida.
In Florida. Would you look up and see what's the name of your insurance carrier?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I just switched insurance companies.
Did you have insurance, homeowner's insurance, in June?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Absolutely.
Well, did you inform your insurance company that there was a problem?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was trying to get an understanding of what was going on.
I'm just telling you what's going on. So now you know what's going on. Your dogs caused damage to his car. Most states now exclude certain dogs from their policy. One that's right on top of the... Now you understand. Does your policy exclude your pit bulls?
I don't think so. No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know how to find that out unless you can give me a definitive answer, Sarah. It depends upon the insurance company.
It does.
Yeah, and you don't remember your insurance company. So, Mr. Ali, he's not paying the $8,000 that it's going to take to fix your car. That's what you have insurance for. Okay? But he's going to pay the deductible. You have insurance. It's a brand new car because you have a loan. So you must have insurance, which I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do.
Then if you were having a difficult time with Mr. Miller and his insurance, which I could probably understand because it may exclude his dogs from the policy, you have to advise your insurance company. And I don't understand why you didn't do that.
But I was going to see if he wants to go ahead and fix it.
Well, he's not paying $8,000 to fix it. He's going to pay the $1,000 deductible on your policy.
He was suggesting me that he could just go and get a spray paint and paint that little thing. And I didn't like that idea. And I said, let's go to Tesla and have it done by the properly from...
Absolutely, I agree with you. It's a...
Animal control said my dogs were so loving and peaceful. They showed no aggression to them.
I mean, I like to have people as good neighbors.
Even after they put the pole and the hoop around their necks, my dogs were wagging their tails.
The neighbor's dog has some damage to my car, and I want the neighbor to be up to that responsibility.
The plaintiff bought a new Tesla and has a loan on the Tesla. When you have a loan on a car, you're required by the lender to maintain insurance, both collision and liability. This is not a malicious act. It was a careless act. And I think he should use his insurance to pay for it. I think it was fair. I don't think that there was an issue of fact. Did you?
No, I didn't. I think that that was fair because you have insurance for that purpose so that you don't have to pay $8,000 out of pocket to fix damage from it.
For a short-term roommate of the defendants.
Yes, ma'am.
She put an ad on the internet.
Yes, it was in a Facebook group. I was referred by my college. It was for subleasing, rentals, apartments of that sort.
A room?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the ad?
I actually do.
I would love to take a look at it.
No problem.
What college do you go to?
University of Alabama at Birmingham.
Miss Barnes, you were pretty specific in this. It says it's average about $800 a month. Utilities included, unfurnished, looking for a female roommate, sublease, personal, bedroom and bathroom, pool, tennis, laundry site. Must be willing to complete a background check.
Yes.
Okay. And did you go to look at the room?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
It was the same day that I signed the sublease, which was, I'm so sorry.
It was February the 10th.
No, I moved in on February the 10th. That is incorrect. We signed our sublease on, I believe it was actually maybe January 22nd.
Does it have a date on it?
This only has the date for when I will be moving in and
May
moving
I
out.
please see it?
The date is on the signature page.
Okay. It's on the last page of that packet.
You don't have this out. It says subleasee is one of, first it said one, that's crossed out, and then it said two total tenants occupying the premises.
I did cross that out because it is two of us. And I accidentally wrote one of one, but it's two of us total. And that was crossed out on the date that I signed it.
Is that correct?
Yes, it was quite a few changes on there.
So it was agreed that there would only be the two of you occupying the premises.
Not completely correct.
That's what it says, that there would be two people
Yes, ma'am.
occupying the premises. Am I correct?
In the initial agreement, I made it clear that...
No clear. This says the sublessee's interest in the sublessee is one of two total tenants occupying the premises. That's what the lease says, which means there are only two people, according to this sublease, which is signed, who will be occupying the premises. That's all it says. I haven't finished. And this indicates that the subleasee, that's you,
Yes, ma'am.
does not need to obtain her permission
Not at all.
overnight guests, which would make sense that she doesn't need your permission to have overnight guests.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is what your case is about. Now I've read this agreement. You moved in February 10th?
Yes, ma'am.
And started to have difficulty because Miss Barnes has a boyfriend. That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was there a lot.
No, that was not a problem.
Well, according to you, it was a problem when he had his own key.
Yes.
And he came, according to you, unannounced.
Yes, ma'am. Alone.
Well, it doesn't say that he has to be announced. I can understand it if he was occupying the residence with his own key and there all the time. That certainly would be in violation of the lease. Would you stand up for a second? Tell me your name, sir.
It's Sean White.
Are you and the defendant currently living together now?
No.
Have you ever lived together?
No.
Can you tell me why it would be that you would have a key to her premises?
Well, she is my fiance. We've been together.
You're going to tell me.
Yes, ma'am. I'll tell you. In recent events, I just lost my father, and I'm trying to launch my trucking company and get that off the ground. So it's just wouldn't be the best thing right now.
But far is your residence from your fiance's?
About an hour and a half.
And her residence from your business?
I'm a truck driver, so I'm always mobile. But where I load at, she's usually close to it.
And that's when you stay at the house?
Yeah.
And how many times a week do you load your truck?
Close to her, maybe 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times a week?
Yeah.
So that means that you're spending either 2 or 3 nights a week at her house?
Yes.
Yes. And that's been going on for how long, sir?
Just this year.
So far, we're doing fine. You see, I don't yell unless someone provokes me.
Heard.
He seems like a very nice...
Then Shia Jenkins claims her former roommate, Victoria Barnes, owes...
Going to stay over, do you bring up a bag, or do you bring up a backpack? What do you bring up with you?
A bag and a backpack.
Do you have toiletries in her bathroom?
No, ma'am.
You carry that with you?
Yes.
Now, when you're on the road, if you stay over 2 or 3 days a week at Miss Barnes's house, and you're on the road, how many days a week are you on the road and sleeping either in your truck or at a motel or at a truck stop?
Between 2 and 3 days. It's all depending on where I go.
So that brings us to maybe 5 days a week or 6 days a week. And where is your home?
Aforementioned 1 hour.
Is that where your father lives?
I'm sorry, but he's passed.
He passed?
Yes.
Okay, so the house that you're staying in is his house?
Yeah.
Anybody else live there?
My mother.
So that 1 day a week you stay with your mom?
This usually probably a Sunday when I don't have anything to do.
Do you stay at your mother's house?
Yes, that's my primary residence. Like it's maybe two days out of a week.
Mr. White, this is what we're getting. You see where we're starting to smile now? If you see your mother on Sundays and you're on the road half the week and you're at the defendant's house half a week, you can tell me from today until the cows come home that when you're not on the road 3 times as many days a week you stay at her house. 1 day you stay at your mother's house, and you tell me that that's been going on since the beginning of the year, which would be January or so of 2022. That's what you just told me, and that actually makes sense.
I beg to differ, though. Like, the time that I stay there, it might be 8 hours, and then I'm back on the road.
I don't care.
And it's like maybe 2 days out of the week.
Now you can sit down, Mr. White. Wait. Okay, I get the scenario, and not unusual, you were unhappy with this more frequent access than you were advised of.
May I add, I was not unhappy with how much he was there. It was only the fact that he had came in by himself and she hadn't let me know. I only had told her that that made me uncomfortable, and I got kicked out for it.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Well, when you say got kicked out, the other issues that you had with her?
When the situation happened, she texted me and asked me where I was. I told her when I got home that we can have a conversation, and that's when an argument ensued, and multiple arguments happened after that.
Were they all about house guests?
Just about, yes, ma'am.
And at the beginning, they were all about Mr. White.
Right.
Okay. And your sublease agreement actually specifically says that only 2 people are living there.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. White has already made it crystal clear to me that he spends his time either on the road or at your house visiting his mom on Sunday. And that sort of makes this fuzzy. Okay, anyway, it didn't work out. He seems like a very nice man, nothing that frightens me.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
And he visits his mother on Sunday. The guy is a hero. Perfect for you.
Thank you.
So you moved out, you got another apartment, whatever it is. I don't know what you want from her.
I want the money that I gave her, period. And
What money?
So she made me pay her security deposit.
No, just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Security deposit.
Yes.
Fine. Did you get your security
No, ma'am.
deposit back?
Absolutely not.
How much was your security deposit?
$350.
Okay. Did you return her security deposit?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You have to return of the damage.
No, ma'am.
Good. $350. She gets her security deposit back.
Yes, ma'am.
What's next?
The remainder of the rent for the month that I moved out, which I moved out within.
Just a second.
Yes.
Did you pay her March's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You paid that the beginning of the month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how much did you pay her?
$630.
Incorrect.
Clearly paid you February's rent when she moved in.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she pay you March's rent?
So she gave me...
That's either a yes or a no. If she paid you March's rent, did you get 2 months' rent from the plaintiff?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And she moved out.
Can I explain why I don't feel like I'm entitled to give her the money back? Because the apartment complex, when we got into the initial argument and I was made aware of the slander and the allegations that she was portraying against Sean and myself, I was told that being as though I made it legal on paper that she has my house when I was at work, supposedly gathering her things, but my personal belongings came up missing.
Oh,
and she had access
Hold on
to
one
it.
second. After March 17th, did you have any property in the apartment? Just be very careful what you say to me. After March 17th, you say you physically left the apartment. Did you have any property there? That's either a yes or a no.
May I confirm the date so I just don't give you false information? Okay, thank
Yes.
you. So the very last day that I was there was...
March 22nd.
Shh. You keep doing that. You keep doing that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the very last day that I was there was on, I believe, March 20th.
Oh, then you owe for the month of March. Then you get your security deposit back, $350. We're finished. Thank you very much.
But that's all
What? That's what she gets, her security deposit back. That's it. She gets her security back. She doesn't get rent, doesn't get moving costs, doesn't get damages. She gets her security deposit back. Goodbye. Have a happy life. Have a nice day.
This court is adjourned.
I really just thought that everything was fairly normal until just the conversation about me.
It is disrespectful.
It wasn't like, you know, he was my personal friend or I met him anywhere else. I met him through her, so I just didn't want to be home alone with him.
Honestly, it's outrageous. The implicate that I do anything to her is beyond me.
My safety does come first. I put me first. I gotta put me first.
I wish her nothing but the best away from me.
I thought that the fiancé was absolutely charming.
I did too.
I thought he was such a nice guy.
Visits his mom on Sundays, has a job.
Hard-working, regular, stayed home while his dad was ill. Really a nice guy. But it was clear that he may say my primary residence is with his mother, but that's a visit on Sunday. When he can, he stays with his fiancée in the house. Clearly that was not part of the lease. But forget about that, Sarah.
she's a tough broad.
Oh, a little bit of an attitude.
She had a little bit of an attitude. So I don't know.
It's always the nice guys that end up with
somebody with
women with the attitude.
He's got to watch his P's and Q's.
All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2101, Lawson versus Baumgartner.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Larson, it is your claim that the defendant's son, I assume that's this young man over here, vandalized your car. And he vandalized your car by smashing in a side mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Which required you to be without a car for a day while they fixed it. So you want his father, who was actually present at the time, to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
From what I gather, this happened on Father's Day, which was June 19th of this year, and you were going over to visit your father.
Yes.
For Father's Day. Stand up. What I gather from your complaint, was he sleeping?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Some sort of an altercation happened, which you'll tell me about in a moment. His father was called.
Yes, ma'am.
His father came. This kerfuffle continued, and when they were on their way out, this young man, whose name is?
Caden Baumgartner?
Caden.
Caden.
Caden smashed in your passenger mirror.
Right.
That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start out when you arrived at your father's house. What time?
I arrived at my father's about, I would say, about 11:15.
Okay. What happened?
And it woke up Caden in the process. Caden got upset.
What did he say? How did you know he was upset?
He started screaming and pretty much saying, "Why the heck are you coming in here, waking everybody up? You have no right to."
Okay.
And then after that, Caden got up and started yelling, started punching the walls, screaming. My father went in there, and then his father, Chris, ended up getting called to come get Caden.
How far do you live from where Miss Larson's father lived?
About 7 miles away.
How old is your son?
He's 16.
Is he the oldest? Where did you think he was going?
No, I knew he was over at they had something to do for Mother's Day, and then they had
That was
another-
Father's Day.
Well, I know, but I'm saying for the entire
Mother's Day is in May, Father's Day is in June.
But they
usually don't have carryovers.
Planned, I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, he was over there.
Times have changed. Life has changed. The only time you got to sleep outside your house when I was growing up was when you were outside in a pine box or a white dress. That was it. Those were your choices.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the way you could leave your parents' house, right? I chose the dress. All right. Now, Caden, I'm going to come around to you because, we're not talking about somebody losing 2 pints of blood or somebody losing a finger.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to wake up a teenager at 11:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually in, right?
Yes.
Why?
Well, she did put it the right way, but she didn't put it the right way because.
But just tell me why.
Well,
Don't look at her. Talk
she
to me.
didn't just wake her up. She came in there loud.
When she walked in, Caden, to a room in her father's house, what did she say? And tell me in what tone of voice she said it.
She said in like a excited voice, but not like a mad voice, excited voice.
All right, and that got you mad.
No, that's not what got me mad. I didn't
What got you mad?
By the time I could even finish my sentence, she's already busted in through the door and was in my face saying, "You got something to say to me."
Just a second. You're not following me. She came in, and the first thing you said was she was talking too loud, and I want to know what you said to her.
I didn't say nothing to her.
Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't even
Nothing.
look at her.
And then she left. So
she cussed at me, but then she walked in there and she later said,
who cussed at you?
Her. And then she later said
Well,
that
just
she
a
was
second.
talking-
That's a different story. Okay, so what you're saying to me is you believe that she came over for the purpose of getting you out of the house.
I believe so, yes, because that's what I got told.
Well, let us assume for a moment that's true. That would sound right to me. Get him out of the house. It's 11:30 in the morning on Father's Day. We want to have a party here. Get him out of the house. That would sound right on the money to moi. Right on the money. I mean, if that's what it was about. So I don't care if that's what it was about or not. Okay, your father comes. What happened when you got there, sir?
When I showed up, I went to the door, I knocked on it, they answered the door, it was pretty chaotic.
Look at me.
It was pretty chaotic.
Describe what chaotic is.
Okay, there was a bunch of yelling and screaming going on between Caden, my son, and the plaintiff.
And Miss Larson.
Miss Larson, yes. And I told my son, I said, hey, you just need to step outside and let me figure out what's going on here, and I'll be right out. I tried to talk to Mark. Mark come out.
the father came out of the room and said, I want Caden to leave.
Right.
And did he leave?
When I come and got him, we left. Yes, we did.
And he walked out the front door.
Yes, he did.
And when he walked out the front door, he passed the plaintiff's car.
Yes, I believe so.
What do you mean? You wrote it in your answer, sir.
Yes, I
so
did.
the answer
Yes,
is
I did.
yes.
Yes.
And you saw him do what to the mirror? Don't minimize what he did. I would have slapped him upside the head if I saw him take his hand and knock off somebody's mirror. I really didn't mean that. I don't believe in corporal punishment.
Amen.
And later today.
What do you think that I think of a person who says, okay, I'll go with you to this very, very sad time? Someone who I've been close and intimate with for months, but it's going to cost you $900.
Claims Chris Bumgardner's 16-year-old son, Caden, vandalized her car.
Now, you saw him do what to the mirror?
Push it in.
Okay, very good. Now, do you have photographs of the pushed-in mirror?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, one moment.
Just for my own curiosity, you knew that it was wrong for him to touch that mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if what you say is he just pushed the mirror in and all it had to do is be, you believe, to be clicked out?
I believe to be
just,
clicked out.
Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you say to him, don't touch somebody else's property? That's what this is all about.
Well, I
Your
believe
temper.
I did say that to him.
Just
I
a
said,
second.
Don't put your hand.
Well, then why didn't you pull out the mirror if that's all it was? If you say the only thing
because
wrong
she
with the
was
mirror is
coming
that it has to be pulled out, why didn't you do that? You didn't see him touch the mirror.
No, I did not.
You were there.
She was right behind us.
She didn't see it. You saw it. So my only question to you is, if you saw it and it was that minor thing, and you know what it is, either you can click the mirror in and then you pull it out. I'm always afraid to click it out that I'm going to break it.
Exactly.
You're not suggesting that anybody else touched this mirror to damage it, the mirror.
I believe it was his hand.
When you say you believe it was his hand, did you see what was in his hand?
He had nothing in his hand.
Did his hand get bloody?
No.
Okay, Kevin, would you turn these over to the defendant, please, and get from the plaintiff an estimate for the damage?
That's not what...
Well, they ripped it off there.
Well, yeah, clearly, because that's not what it looked like when I seen. Because when he walked by, he just simply... Okay. And I said, now, Caden, that's enough.
So you had a $500 deductible on your insurance?
Yes, I did.
And you had it fixed?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you paid $442.74. Okay. Just want to see what you have for a car rental.
Your Honor, I don't understand this car rental part of it. I've been without a mirror before.
Sir, you're not allowed to drive without two mirrors.
Then there was one in the cab as well. That's two mirrors, isn't it?
I don't know what you're asking me, sir, because at some point you just have to take the car, and let's say it takes a day once you get the parts. At some point you have to take the car in and you're without a car for a day. Well, then you can either be without a car for a day or you can rent a car for a day. I'm not giving her a rental for a month. I'm not crazy. You know, there's a certain amount of inconvenience that one endures when somebody else vandalizes a piece of their property. And that's part of the punishment.
Well, I understand.
Yeah, I'm glad you understand. Don't minimize what he did. I would have slapped him upside the head if I saw him take his hand and knock off somebody's mirror. I really didn't mean that. I don't believe in corporal punishment.
Amen.
I don't think you needed 15 days to fix this.
I didn't think so either.
Well, I certainly don't think so.
I didn't think that I needed to pay the whole $1,300 out of pocket.
I'm just glad someone finally held them accountable for what they did.
The mirror, I was walking past it and just hit it. Bam, you know what I mean?
I finally am getting reimbursed for the money I had to pay.
I knew what I was doing, and when I did it, I did regret it after I did it, you know what I mean?
I feel like some people need to control their children better.
It's also a sign of the times that this father did not own up to what he saw.
I will say he was on the more responsible side of parents than some that we've seen here. He said, I said, Caden, what are you doing? This is not how you act. This is not how you behave. So that I almost appreciated. But he didn't take it as far as you or I would have liked.
As far as knock at the door. I know this is hot. My son did something wrong. I'm going to pay for it.
Yep.
Whatever it is. I have to come into the 21st century kicking in.
It carries vehicle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Good morning.
Case 2138, Cargill versus Simonet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cargill, you and the defendant's son had an accident while you were driving your car, and Mr. Simonet's son was driving his electric scooter.
It was like a skateboard, a one-wheel skateboard.
Tell me your name.
Jacob Simonet.
Describe this vehicle that you were riding on.
It's got 2 spaces for your feet. Has one in the back, one in the front.
No, try to look at me. I'm trying to see you. Trying
There's
to
one in the
go
back,
like this.
one in the front, and then there's a big wheel in the center. And you put your feet on either side, and then it balances, and you ride it kind of like a skateboard.
Oh, I actually
I had a
have
feeling you
picture
might
of
need it.
myself riding on one of those for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We bought it for one of my grandchildren years ago. But are you required to drive that on the street where pedestrians walk or where cars ride?
On the sidewalk with the pedestrians.
Sidewalk.
Yes.
Do you drive it on the sidewalk?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever drive it in the street?
I do not.
Now you're going to tell me what happened on the date of this incident, which was August 17th.
This year, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was going south after work, and I was going to, crossing through the intersection. I had the green light.
Is there a chart?
Yes. Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I was crossing the intersection.
You're the blue car.
I'm the blue car. And I had the green, it was going, and Jacob had cut through on the red into the green and slammed into the...
Okay, Jacob, I want you to walk up to that sign and show me where you were when you and the plaintiff collided.
I was about right here.
You were in a crosswalk.
Yeah, I was in the crosswalk coming through and about
Okay,
right.
is that what, Jacob, is that what the police report is going to indicate? That you were in the crosswalk?
I don't know.
Well, I assume that there is a police report. Is that correct? Police report's going to tell me where the debris was, I assume. The debris is either going to be in a crosswalk or it's going to be in the street. Where do you think it's going to be?
Some of it was in the street.
Show me the street that you're talking about.
About like right
No,
here.
put your finger on it. Don't go around where it's
About right here.
right there. That would be in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be in the middle of the street where the cars travel, not in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Yes. It's easy.
Sure.
How old is he?
15.
All of my kids are pretty good kids, but you can always
Figure
tell.
it out, huh?
Yeah, you can usually tell. Is this your first only?
Both, first and only.
First and only. Oh, well, she probably had some experience with that anyway.
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, and this happened at what time during the day?
I believe it was about 4, a little after 4:30.
So it was light out.
Yes.
You collided with her car on the driver's side.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, on the door of the driver's side.
The fender.
Fender.
Yes.
Side fender?
Yes, side fender.
Okay, not the front of the car.
The front fender of the car.
Front fender of the car on the side. I'm talking about it was the side or the front?
The side.
Side. So you collided with her.
Yeah.
Because cars don't move sideways.
Yeah.
Hit my windshield and then fell onto the ground. And when I stopped, he jumped up, appeared at my window, and apologized, and then asked me if I was okay.
What did he say?
Just said he was sorry. And then he asked me if I was okay. And then I asked him if he was okay. And then he asked me if I was okay. And it went back.
So far, is that right?
Bit.
Yes.
Okay.
And which I was very impressed by, that he was more worried about me than anything else. I moved my car out of the road, onto the side of the road. There was an EMT that was across the street from us, and he came over and assessed him if there was any more damage. He got some road rash and things like that, but he was not seriously hurt, at least that we noticed at the time.
Do you have the police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please, Kevin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One witness said that he was right next to you and that you went past him and that the light was red. His light was red, which is... Explain to me, would you put on this again and leave that one on because that's the version that I believe. Would you walk over there and explain to me what cut the corner was, what you were doing? It talks about cutting the corners. So I want you to understand, I believe that, based upon what I'm reading here, I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want you to show me how you cut the corner.
So I was coming to this one, and I went through, and instead of going here and just going through the sidewalk, I just went like around here and through this crosswalk.
What's cut the corner?
Cut the corner here, right there.
You mean just that little space is what you're talking about? You cut the corner?
Yeah, I went from about
I want you to understand, I believe that you were in the street.
here, I came here and I cut here. So right there, I cut the corner.
He is a nice boy, Mr. Simonette.
Thank you.
You know what my father told me when he gave me my first car? I think I was 17. It was like a tank. He said, because if you get in an accident, I want you to be surrounded by 4,000 pounds of steel.
And later today,
Your claim is that you won a whole bunch of money in some gambling thing. I just want you to tell me how much you won.
Before taxes or after?
Both.
Kerry Cargill claims Joseph Simonette owes for damage after his 15-year-old son hit Kerry's car while riding an electric skateboard.
Okay. The police determined that based upon the eyewitness testimony that the pedestrian, Jacob, is at fault and believed to have crossed the intersection. Called to the scene by your son, is that right?
Correct.
And you got there, you know that he was a little banged up, but thankfully...
He was in an ambulance when I arrived, but shortly after, yes, he did walk out of the ambulance and suffered some injuries, which I have pictures of if you'd like to see them.
I'm sure he was banged up. He had bruises from falling off the...
From being launched from the vehicle after the collision, correct.
Okay. You know, he was really lucky that she wasn't going faster.
Correct. Could have been much worse. We were
Could have been much
thankful for his health and the outcome of the incident.
You're right. Okay, can I see an estimate to fix your car, please? Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge.
What kind of a car do you have? Deductible.
Yes.
Right. Anything else you want to tell me, Jacob?
Nope.
Do you still ride one of those things?
It's broken. I didn't get a new one, no.
It was destroyed in the accident.
You know what my father told me when he gave me my first car? I think I was 17. He bought me the oldest, ugliest car, but it was like a tank. All my other friends were getting these nice, cute little cars, and this one was like an old person's tank Cadillac or something. You know, we're talking 50 years ago. And I said, why do I have to have this car? Everybody else has cute cars. He said, because if you get in an accident, I want you to be surrounded by 4,000 pounds of steel. That's pretty much the lesson that I've sent out there. 4,000 pounds of steel. One and only, surrounded by lots of steel. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you, we're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Overall, I'm happy.
She had some...
Glad that he was okay.
I remember just flying through the air, and then I was on the ground, and I got right up.
Be very careful.
Count your blessings and enjoy every moment that you have, because things could change in an instant.
I know these electric scooters and skateboards are very popular, but even before this case, I tried to look up any rules, laws, regulations. There are a few for electric motorbikes and things like that, but far fewer than I would expect for a machine that can go up to 17 miles an hour when you're 15.
I think that you're right. I think that since those things have become so popular, there really have to be enforced rules. And parents, and this is a very nice father and son, but I've seen kids weave in and out of cars. It always looked like an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, and this one could have ended in a real tragedy.
It was luck.
Damages from a motorcycle accident.
This is a case that's about an automobile-motorcycle collision. Each one of you claims that the other is responsible for the collision. Miss Garcia, you were riding the motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And this happened on what date?
March 21st, 2022, around 3 p.m.
In what state?
California.
In the state of California, are you required to have insurance on a motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just liability?
Liability if it's paid for in full, correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And were you insured on that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were driving a car?
Yes.
And was your car insured on March 21st, 2022?
Not at the time.
So the answer is no?
No.
Did you have a valid driver's license on March 21st, 2022?
Yes.
From what state?
California.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Nissan Sentra.
Was it a new car for you, or did you have it for a while?
It's a new car. I purchased it 3 weeks prior to the incident.
And if you bought it 3 weeks before, how come you didn't have liability insurance?
I was looking for insurance, and plus, at the time, I hadn't received my paperwork. It was still in the other person's name at the used car dealer.
Thank you. I have proof that April Tarrant purchased her vehicle February 8th, 2022. She drove uninsured for 41 days, and it was not from a lot. It was from someone off the street. I have the proof for that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Oh, thank you. For $2,050.
Well, this car that you registered, the selling price was $2,050, according to this.
No, it wasn't. And
well, I'm going to show you vehicle and transfer law. This is 2011 Sentra, and it was signed, but it's LLC. That's his company.
Okay.
So it wasn't off the street, but it said the selling price was $2,000. That's what this says.
I don't have my paperwork in my car.
Want to show this to her? I just want to get some basic facts first, and then I'm going to go to the incident.
But right there.
That's
yes.
Okay, we have a diagram. This happened on March 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no insurance, and you were traveling in the bike lane.
No, that is not true. I shared the lane of the car in the right. I would never go into a bike lane. That is disrespectful to the road and riders.
Just a second. Are you allowed to share a lane with a car and a motorcycle?
That is your right, yes.
I know Foothill. Is that where you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at a certain time during the day, Foothill becomes very trafficked.
Yes.
And the cars sometimes get stopped because there's a light, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go over to there, Miss Garcia, and show me, please, where you were positioned before you say that you were traveling in the same lane as a car.
Your Honor, I was directly behind this car.
Okay.
Directly behind.
You were directly behind that car.
Yes.
And that car was stopped.
They were slowing to a stop.
No, they were stopped because they had to have been stopped because that's why you went around him.
They were slowing to a stop. By the time I got around here, they were stopped. I didn't.
Got it, Miss Garcia. You want me to appreciate the fact that you wanted to get around the stopped car and you wanted to continue to go straight, correct? You weren't turning. You wanted to go straight.
I was going straight, correct.
And so you want me to picture in this tiny mind of mine that instead of going into a perfectly clear bike lane, you inched your way at 25 miles an hour in the same lane as a stopped car.
Yes.
But
this diagram,
you know, I find that hard to believe, Miss Garcia.
Your Honor,
really find that hard to believe. You may be in the right with regard to this, but I find it hard to believe.
The roads are very wide. I have the actual police photo document of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, Your Honor. Right here.
And I'd like to see the police report as well. Is there a police report?
It's attached to this.
Fine. Because as you were traveling straight, the defendant was making a left turn. She was making a left turn. What happened was she was making a left turn. According to this, you went into her passenger side. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it.
What are you driving around in now?
1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl!
Amari Garcia is accusing fellow motorist April Tarrant of damaging her motorcycle. April claims Amari was illegally driving in the bike lane.
Who was in the car with you, Miss Tarrant?
My son and his girlfriend.
One of them had an injury.
Yes. My son's girlfriend, she was in the driver's passenger side. And while I was turning into the lane, I just felt a crash and saw glass going into my car, and then she was cut.
Okay, and you had an injury to your knee?
Yes, I have several injuries, and I have photos as well.
You understand, Miss Tarrant, that the police interviewed witnesses. You were the cause of the collision. That's what it says.
And I don't...
It says that you caused the collision by violating Vehicle and Traffic Law 21-8001, failure to yield when making a left turn. I determined the cause based upon the parties involved and the physical evidence. That's what the police determined. Okay, well, then that's an easy based upon the police report, because each of you were going to tell two different stories about what happened that day. Police were there. They looked at the physical evidence. They looked at the injuries. They looked at the damage to the roadway. They interviewed independent witnesses, and that was their determination.
I understand, Judge, but the police report had some inconsistencies where, like, she was driving in the bicycle lane, which is against the law. And what I was doing, I was making the left turn, as you know. And these two front cars, which one of them was a witness.
Yes, that car paused to let you make a left turn.
Yes, both lanes. And
I'm just telling you.
No, I know. And
Yeah,
that's why
I'm just
said,
telling you. That's not what this is. That's what you say. There was nothing that prevented those two cars from going.
Exactly.
There wasn't a traffic light. There wasn't a stoplight at that spot.
Yes.
And there was heavy traffic.
Yes.
So it's your responsibility to make sure if you're making a left turn that you have to yield to all oncoming traffic.
And
so the fact that you didn't see her is really not relevant. And as long as you understand that this police report supports Miss Garcia's claim that you caused this accident by making a left turn when you shouldn't have been making a left turn, that's what this says. And that, you know, at the end of the day, it's an accident. That's why it's not called an on purpose. It's called an accident. Neither one of you anticipated it. As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Garcia, you're entitled to be compensated, but I'm going to suggest this to you. If I'm driving a motorcycle, which I would never do, just for me, I think it's wacky. I think there are enough crazy people driving around that I like about 2,000 pounds of steel around me so that if somebody who is not paying attention and there's an accident, I like to be safe. My first car when I was 17, all my friends were getting these cute little cars, you know, that were convertibles, and my father was a boat. Oh, come on. Everybody else is getting these cute little Corvettes, even if they're used ones. And my father, who loved me a lot, said to me, sweetheart, if you get into the accident, I want you to come out unscathed. And this ensures that you got a shot if you get into an accident. And I feel better. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to drive a motorcycle, don't take shortcuts. I know this place on Foothill, and I know what happened here. You know, you wanted to go. There was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse. What was the damage to your motorcycle?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
I would.
I did look it up. Lane splitting motorcycles is legal in California. Based on
motorcycle now.
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it. They sold it for $70 they claim, and I got hit with collections afterwards. I have the bill for that if you'd like to see that.
How much did you pay for it?
$6,407.
Do you have the bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
For my motorcycle, what I paid for, correct?
Yes, what you paid for it. What are you driving around in now?
A 1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl! Atta girl. Okay. I'm giving you the value of the motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Which is $6,407. I'm not splitting whose fault this was, actually, but I'm not awarding you any punitive damages for her. She had injuries in her car. You were slightly injured, but both of you seem fine now. I don't think that you were careful enough when you were going straight and around that car that was stopped. But the defendant didn't have insurance, and she was cited by the police for violation of a traffic law. So I'm giving you the cost of your motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
So I actually ended up, after the scared, I thought, like, oh, this is it, my legs are out.
And like I said, I was being cautious, and
thankfully I wasn't.
But it ended up in that kind of situation.
Definitely more safely as far as better gear, and, you know, like she said, don't take a shortcut or anything of that sort.
So I looked up lane splitting, and in California, it's one of the few states that allows it for motorcyclists. It does say inexperienced riders shouldn't attempt it because, like we see, it's very easy to get hit or for someone not to see you if you're splitting between lanes, but it is legal. So she wasn't in the wrong by lane splitting, but I think it was a sticky situation. You're behind a car, someone's turning.
What does it say if you're injured?
It does say on the Highway Patrol website that you're splitting at your own risk. So any injuries that happen are at your own risk.
So they say if you are lane splitting, it's not illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But if You have injuries as a result of an accident. If you're lane splitting, you're responsible for your own injuries.
It doesn't say it in a legal.
Come to order. All rise.
Be seated, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2080 Baptiste versus Carter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Baptiste, you and Miss Carter were roommates.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
From October 7th to April 1st. Actually, May.
And it is your claim that Miss Carter vandalized certain property of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Most specifically, a very expensive couch.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had an argument, and that during the course of this argument, her dog bit you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And for breaching the lease, because she left.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it was a good thing that she left, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were happy that she left. Her dog bit you. She vandalized
Right,
the sofa. You were very
I was
happy
very
that
happy she left, yeah.
You were very happy. So we're going to eliminate that breach of the lease part.
No.
Oh, yes, we're going to eliminate the breach of the lease part because you were happy that she left.
I didn't want her to live in the same situation as her, but being that the rent was so expensive, it wouldn't have been my best interest for her to leave.
It's with her, to stay with her dog that bit you.
Right.
I mean, I don't want you to sound ridiculous to me, okay?
Right.
All right, let's not sound ridiculous to me. Normal person, if they were bitten by their roommate's dog, and if their roommate vandalized their property, that roommate would be happy to see them go.
But I'm not happy with the expensive rent by myself.
Well, of course, but your choice would be vandalizing and dog bite. So tell me when this dog bite took place.
It's on March 29th.
What kind of dog was it, by the way?
It was a Belgian Malinois.
What do they look like?
It looks like a German Shepherd.
Is that what you have, Miss Carter? A Belgian
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. A Belgian Malinois, like a police dog.
So it looks like a German Shepherd?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a large dog?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved in together, you moved in with the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So tell me what happened March 29th.
Okay, so before March 29th, Adrian and I got in a petty argument. It was dumb. We made up. In the argument, she confessed to me that...
No, just a minute. You engaged in a petty argument, and then you made up.
Yes.
And the petty argument was on what date?
It was on the March 27th.
And you made up?
Yes.
Okay. On the 27th, what were you arguing about?
My dog tore up the carpet, and she sent this long paragraph, and we were just going back and forth, and we realized it was dumb, so we decided to drop it. And that's when she confessed to...
On the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
She confessed that she gave the guy that I was seeing a lap dance.
And?
And I immediately cut all ties with her.
So you cut all ties with her how?
I stopped speaking to her.
Even though you were roommates?
Yes.
Okay.
After I stopped talking to her, social media posts were made.
By whom?
Adrian.
Okay. Social media posts were made. Do you have those?
No, I do not.
Do you have those?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Why don't you have them if this is your case?
They erased, but I have other things that I think you would want to see.
I'm going in order. This is a case. So don't try to creep into my mind. Even say in your complaint a couple of days later, there were things posted on social media. And is what you're telling me that they were erased?
Right. I didn't save anything that she posted.
Oh, never mind. I don't have to see anything, correct?
Correct.
So you didn't save anything?
No, ma'am.
Then you have no evidence of anything that happened
So
later.
I saw that she had no remorse for what she did. Then I made social media posts. Adrian was mad that I made social media posts. So the next morning, she's yelling at the top of her lungs at 10 in the morning. I wake up to see what she's yelling about. And she's just saying how I'm a... and I shouldn't have posted what I posted. And we were just arguing about the situation. And I asked, how could she do this to me? And I said, you need to get your dog. She said, no, your dog is good. And we continued to argue. The dog came to bite me again. And that's when I grabbed what was behind me, which was a paper towel holder, and I chucked it at the dog.
So the dog bit you on the arm?
Yes, ma'am. Twice.
Okay. I would like to see a medical report on that.
Okay. All right, I have a photo of the bite, the antibiotics, and then this is the report.
Would you show this to Miss Carter, please?
Your Honor, I know she has a video of the entire incident, if you'd rather.
It's not her obligation to prove your case, as my law clerk so aptly told me in the last case. Not her obligation, it's your obligation. Okay. So, go ahead.
After her dog bit me, I immediately grabbed my dog and I go to the hospital. I filled out
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Doberman.
Where was your Doberman when this was going on?
He was in the cage and he's still a baby as well. So I went to the hospital, got treated while I was at the hospital.
Police report. That's an official business record.
So this is the first police report for the dog bite.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so April 19th, this day, Adrian knocked on my door.
No, April 19th? Where did April 19th? I thought you moved out on April 1st.
No, she moved out on April 19th.
So is what you're saying after all this altercation, she moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed in the apartment with her dog from the 29th to April 19th?
Yes, ma'am. And I went to a friend's house the day the dog bit me, and then I went home for a week, and then that's when I came back, and this second incident happened.
So after the dog bit you, you did not go home. You took your dog and left.
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed at whose house for a week?
I stayed at a friend that lives an hour away from my current apartment.
On what date did you return?
So I stayed one night at a friend's house, and then I returned, and then I went home for a week. So
when you went, stop playing with papers.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you went home for the day, was the defendant at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any conversations with her?
No, ma'am.
Just stayed out of her way and packed a few things and left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to stay?
At home in Alabama.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am. Until things cooled down, basically. Okay. On my door at 9 a.m. in the morning saying that I need to come to the leasing office because there's a new roommate here. I told her no, and then that's when she started threatening me and calling me all these kinds of names. So I take my dog again, I go outside, and I call an officer, and that's also when I call my mom, and she convinced me to go up there to speak with the new roommate to see, who they were.
What new roommates? Just a second.
She tried to get 2 young girls to replace her on the lease.
And it was unsatisfactory?
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I have a dog bite and
yes, ma'am.
Couch.
So after I said no to the 2 roommates, one didn't have a job, they looked young, I said no. I went back home. 10 minutes later, Adrian...
Home? You mean to your folks'
To our
house?
apartment.
Oh, to your apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So 10 minutes later, Adrian comes in. I was in the room with my door locked. I hear Adrian yelling. I hear her throwing things. She's saying, I can't believe you did that. You really just did that. I don't care. I'm still moving out. I'm still leaving. I'm not paying rent. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't come out the room because last time it got crazy, so I just said I would let her do what she does, and I will out of my room. And
well, how did you get out?
I jumped over it. And the trash can was flipped upside down. I have pictures of all the damage that she did to the house and videos.
Well, I'd like to see them, please. And I would like to see the damage to the couch, which is your major complaint.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the damages, and then I have a video of the entire incident right here.
Brooke Batiste claims her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, owes for couch damage and a dog attack.
By the way, did you have any unreimbursed medical bills as a result of this dog bite? That's either a yes or a no.
No, ma'am.
When did you purchase this couch?
I purchased it the day we moved in, so it was October 7th.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,200 in total, and Adrian and I were paying on it a little bit in the beginning, but there came a time where we had to make the final payment on it, which was $1,200. When we had the argument, she didn't pay anything, so I had to pay it all by myself, and the couch is in my name.
Did the couch remain?
Yes, ma'am. The couch is at the house.
What does it look like now?
It's black, but there's it's an odor coming from the couch, and there's some stains on it.
Do you have a picture of it, what it looks like now?
No, ma'am. I just have the pictures that I gave you.
Okay, but you're still using the sofa.
The
answer
is
is...
a smell. No, ma'am. I don't sit on it anymore because there's a smell.
So why don't you get rid of it out of the apartment?
I'm moving to get rid of it because I know I'm moving soon, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
I wouldn't keep something in my house that smelled.
I work a lot, and
Would you please show this to the defendant? Want to tell me how that happened?
I did put chips and items that wasn't wet on the couch out of anger. I shouldn't have did it, but I did do it. And I didn't put liquid on it or anything. Literally,
That's not true, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
You can get a napkin and wipe it off. But that's my couch too. Maybe I didn't pay the whole thing on it, but I've made payments on that couch, and I decided not to do that full payment that she did, which was $600, because she was irresponsible and decided to rent a couch and found out that that couch was whatever amount. I made payments on that couch, and I have proof for it.
That's okay. You had no right to even attempt to destroy it.
And can we please go back over the lease portion of this?
No.
Can my mom speak about what happened?
No, I said no. When there's that kind of acrimony, I actually think that before somebody gets seriously injured, when you have two large dogs and two people with hot tempers that can do this, it's a very, very good thing that they no longer live together.
Being stuck with a rent and
Just a second. I've just answered you. This is not a back and forth.
Yes, sir.
On the dog bite, I am awarding you $1,000. It looks as if part of it was a black and blue mark. Certainly, I can't blame the dog for trying to protect its owner, but she's supposed to have control of her dog all the time.
And she shouldn't start arguing.
This is not a tea dance. I'm not asking you anything. And I'm awarding you $1,200 for the sofa. That's $2,200. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
She just did something messed up, and I cut her off, and she didn't like it.
I literally cut her off. She's just mad that she's cut off.
She's delusional. She's delusional.
She's childish. She's irresponsible, and I was just sick of dealing with someone draining.
Just don't get roommates with your friends. Just move in by yourself.
I'm happy.
You had a question about the lease.
I did. So I agree that it was best for the acrimonious situation for them to separate and not to live there. So I understand your judgment saying it was better for you. You got the good end of the stick on that right when it did. She was stuck paying her half as well. So I thought you should have at least heard her claim on the breach of a lease, because then anyone could just say, oh, well, I don't like the situation and I feel like leaving would be a better thing, and stick their roommate with their portion of the rent. And that's not what the law says.
Well, that's true, except that this wasn't just a situation where parties weren't getting along.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question that she was nipped by the defendant's dog. Well, I wouldn't want to stay in that situation anyway.
Well, that would give her the right to maybe leave without paying her half of the rent, but that's not what happened.
It's also sort of acknowledged that the defendant brought two other people to take over her piece of rent. And it was in the papers, and the plaintiff did not.
She did say that she was the one that said no.
She said, I don't want those two people. Well, then the onus really falls on her to mitigate her damages. And she had no proof that she went forward to try to get another roommate. Between the two of them, they may have had an agreement, but the dispute over rent really is the defendants and the landlords. She doesn't pay her rent, and if the plaintiff pays her half of the rent, the landlord.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu bức tranh một chú robot. Mình sẽ lấy màu tím, tô vào phần tay. Chân mình cũng tô màu tím. Viên màu xanh này tô vào phần bụng. Vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh hình ảnh một người máy. Và đây là thành quả ngày hôm nay. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.